I never imagined my life could spiral into such chaos. When my twin brother Pierre showed up, I welcomed him with open arms. Little did I know he and my wife Chelsea had a secret affair. I walked in on them together in our own bed. The betrayal hit me like a truck, shattering my trust. Rage coursed through my veins. How could they do this to me? I felt like a fool, a puppet in their sick game, but I wouldn't let them win. I plotted my revenge, determined to reclaim my dignity and sanity. This is my story of heartbreak and vengeance. I was born and grew up in a hard-working family. My parents worked long hours at simple jobs to take care of me and my sister. Even though she was a year older than me, I always felt protective of her. Sometimes she got annoyed by this, but we were really close. We didn't have a lot of money, but our family bond made many people admire us. We attended church regularly and supported each other no matter what. Despite our arguments, Anita and I always had each other's backs in tough times. Anita got into our state college, but left after a year to marry Darren Efland, the love of her life. She wanted to focus on loving him and starting a family. Darren had a good job in marketing and was also a volunteer firefighter. He and I got along well. Since Anita didn't use all the money our parents saved for college, I also went to the same state college. I studied for 4 years and got a degree in occupational therapy. Luckily, I got a job at New Directions, Inc., where I help people regain movement and find new ways to live their lives. I loved my job, and it paid well, too. I had dated my high school girlfriend, Chelsea Higgins, all through college. We met in church as teens and were very close. At first, she was very shy and quiet, but I helped her feel more confident. Over time, she became beautiful inside and out. Everyone loved her, but she loved me the most. Not wanting to lose her, I married Chelsea and we began our happy life. After 8 wonderful years, we had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. Amber, 6, and Rhonda, 3, looked just like their mother, and little Neil, 4, was my best buddy. We men stuck together in a house full of girls. We recently moved into a lovely home in a great neighborhood with good schools, living the classic family dream. "Well, look who decided to join us this morning," Rachel joked as I walked in. "I'm not late. It's still 1 minute to 8, I replied. "You're just jealous because I have Chelsea to miss and all you have is your cat." "Hey, my cat's more reliable than any boyfriend I've ever had. Don't knock it. Tabby misses me when I'm gone," she teased. "All right, fair enough. But it's not the same and you know it. Anyway, how's the day looking?" "It's a steady schedule. Besides our usuals, we have 4 appointments this morning." "But Paul, I'm still amazed." "Amazed by what?" "How did you go to a movie premiere in California yesterday and be here in North Carolina today? Were you hired to pretend to be someone?" "Spill the beans!" "California? A movie premiere? Me? Rachel, I've never been to California. What's this about?" "I'm serious. I saw you on TV last night at a movie premiere. It was you. The movie's name had something like Candlelight in it. When you walked out on that red carpet, I couldn't believe it. They called you Pierre Dumont. You even had this funny French accent. It was hilarious." "Rachel, you must be dreaming. It wasn't me. I've never been to California or a movie premiere. Are you sure this guy looked like me?" "No, he didn't just look like you. He was you. It was creepy how similar you two are. I'm not joking." "Well, they say everyone has a look-alike somewhere, so mine is an actor? That's not too shabby. Better than being a criminal, right? We should get back to work. I'll check this guy out later to see if you're pulling my leg." That morning, I had a busy schedule. During lunch, I looked up the movie and this Pierre Dumont guy. To my surprise, the resemblance was incredible. He dressed differently than I did, but it felt like looking in a mirror. He had a slight mustache, which I didn't, but everything else was spot on. Same height, same build, same age, same eye and hair color. The biggest difference was that he was European and I was American. That night, I showed Chelsea what I found online. She was just as amazed. "Paul, you have to contact this guy. This is too weird not to explore," she said. "I've never seen 2 people from different countries look so alike before," she said. "It's just a coincidence, I'm sure," I replied. "Everyone has a twin somewhere. Now I know mine. I bet there's a Chelsea twin out there too who'd love to meet you. But you know what?" "What?" she asked as she hugged me close, looking into my eyes. "Even if there was another Chelsea, she might look like you, but she could never have your amazing personality. Girl, you're one of a kind," I said and kissed her. She added, "Let's go to the bedroom, cowboy, and see what makes us so special." And we did. I forgot about the guy who looked like me. It was just a funny thing to joke about for a day or two. 3 weeks later, I came home from work and found Chelsea very excited. "Honey, you won't believe this. He wants to meet you," she yelled. "Who and why?" I asked, confused. "Pierre Dumont. Turns out he's as curious as we are about you two looking alike," she said excitedly. "What are you talking about, Chelsea? How does this guy even know I exist?" I asked. "It was me. I sent him your picture, the one of you in that nice suit at my cousin's wedding. I forwarded it to his secretary, and he's curious too. He's coming here and wants to meet you Saturday at the Excelsior Hotel. Isn't it exciting?" "Exciting? It was just a curiosity for a day or two. Why did you send my picture without asking me?" I asked, a bit annoyed. "Because you'd have said no, and it's not every day you get to meet a famous actor. Even if nothing happens, don't you think it's a cool chance? He's a big star in Europe. What if he's a long-lost brother?" she asked. "No, it wouldn't be. I wish you hadn't done that," I said. "But why, Paul? What's the harm?" she asked. "How about making my parents feel bad if I start questioning my identity? How do you think it would make them feel?" I said, upset. "Oh, I didn't think about that. But your parents are wonderful people. They'll understand," she said. "Maybe, but I'd rather not do something that needs their forgiveness. Let me talk to them first. Then I'd decide if I want to meet this guy," I said. "But you have to go. It's all arranged for Saturday," she begged. "I didn't arrange anything. You did. If my parents don't want me to meet this guy, then I won't. Understand? If it means that much to you, then you can go." "I will not hurt my parents," I stated firmly. "But if you don't go, it'll embarrass me." "How could you do that to me?" she asked. "I haven't done anything to you. I came home to find out you've been doing things behind my back. If you're embarrassed, it's because of your choices," I said. She looked sad. She knows how much I love and respect my parents. "Go ahead and talk to them, Paul. I understand. But show them his picture. They might be as curious as I am and give you their blessing," she said. The next evening, I went to my parents' house to talk about the situation. They were just as puzzled as I was, but then they told me something shocking. My mom started the story. "Honey, you're an adult now, and it's time you knew. Your father and I tried to have children but couldn't. The doctors said your father was fine. The problem was with me. I couldn't have children. So we adopted. Your sister was a blessing, and we couldn't have been happier with her. A year later, we were asked if we wanted to adopt a little boy, but we had to decide within 24 hours or someone else would get the chance. We prayed and felt it was meant to be. When we adopted you, we got no information about your biological parents. The only thing we had to do was name you Paul." She continued, "We wanted to tell you many times but didn't want you to feel unwanted by your biological parents. We did our best to show our love for you and Anita. We would have told you if there had been any health issues, but you've been healthy and happy. We didn't want to disturb that. But if this Pierre is related to you somehow, we understand if you want to find out. You have our blessing. Who knows where it might lead?" I felt like my whole world had changed in an instant. I couldn't have loved or been prouder of two people more than I did for that very special couple. I hugged them with tears in my eyes and thanked them for giving me what no one else could, a loving home. Chelsea was relieved when I finally agreed to meet Pierre Dumont to see if there was more to us than just appearances. When we arrived at the Excelsior Hotel, we called the number Chelsea had. A big man came down the elevator and met us in the lobby. He waved a metal detector over us, saying it was just a security check to protect his client. He was surprised when he saw me and said if he didn't know Pierre was upstairs, he might have mistaken me for him. As we entered the presidential suite, the security guard said, "Boss, you aren't going to believe this," and we walked in. When Pierre and I first saw each other, we were stunned. Every feature was the same, including our height and weight. It was amazing. Pierre asked me to take off my left shoe and sock. I immediately knew why. We both had webbed toes between the same two toes on the same foot. We placed our palms against each other's. Every finger was identical down to the last detail. We both furrowed our brows the same way and had the same dimple when we smiled. Chelsea couldn't hold back. "Oh my God, it's true, but how? How can this be?" I finally composed myself enough to say, "Good evening, Mr. Dumont. I'm Paul Blaylock. I recently found out from my parents that I was adopted. You? Pierre replied. The same. I've got some lawyers looking into our past even as we speak. I'm sure we both feel a strong connection here, but I must ask, would you be okay with giving a DNA sample so we can know for sure what we both believe might be true? Of course. I was about to suggest the same. Seeing pictures is one thing, but being in the same room with you is... I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Pierre exclaimed. By the way, this is Helena Moreno, my assistant who I couldn't live without. She arranged this meeting with your wife. As I looked over to greet Helena, I was taken aback. She reminded me of a fashion model from a European magazine. Even though I tried to keep my cool, she seemed to sense my attraction. She appeared to be 5 years younger than me with a perfect appearance. I pulled myself together and greeted her. A pleasure to meet you, Miss Moreno. She just smiled and nodded politely as I shook her hand. And this is my lovely wife, Chelsea. It's a delight to meet you, Chelsea, Pierre said to her in his thick French accent as he kissed her hand several times. My counterpart is a very lucky man, he charmed. I'd like to invite you two to dine with me downstairs at the Excelsior's restaurant. It's a 5-star place that I hope will please you. Shall we go? The waiter was very polite and attentive. This seemed to be the kind of treatment Pierre was used to. We had pleasant conversation and speculated about the possibility of us being related. We both agreed to wait for the DNA results before jumping to any conclusions. Helena quietly listened to our conversation as Pierre and I asked and answered many questions about our habits and behavior to compare. We left that night with more questions than answers. Chelsea was thrilled at the idea of us being related and asked Pierre many questions about his rise to fame. Pierre seemed to enjoy her interest and hoped she would soon become his sister-in-law. 3 days later, it was confirmed. Our DNA was identical, something that only happens in about 35% of identical twins. Chelsea was over the moon when I got home that night. It's official, honey. You and Pierre are identical in every way. You had to have shared the same biological parents, there's no doubt. You never had a brother before, and now you do, and he's rich and famous on top of that. Can you imagine? Our children have a wealthy uncle? Chelsea, I don't care about how rich he is. That doesn't matter. What matters is that we were separated at birth for some reason and never knew about each other until now. That's the question I want answered, not how much money Pierre has. Honey, he called earlier today. He wants you by his side when he announces to the world that he has recently discovered an identical twin brother. He said he's never been more excited in his entire life. Helena has arranged first-class tickets to fly us to California on Saturday. He'll have a limo pick us up from the airport. Isn't that exciting? Chelsea, I just found out for sure that I have a brother. I'm not interested in all the attention his celebrity brings. That's his thing, not mine. I'd rather he and I spend some time together, one-on-one, to get to know each other better and start building a strong relationship. There are still many questions to be answered. Who are our parents? Why were we separated at birth? Why were we put up for adoption instead of staying with close relatives? Why were the records sealed? Why didn't our biological parents want us to be together? How did he end up in France and me in the States on 2 different continents? Where are our biological parents now? Are they still alive? I know, sweetheart. That's part of it too, and you're right. It would be nice to get answers to all those questions. Pierre said he'll fly us in Saturday afternoon. We'll be his guests at a fancy hotel. We'll have a nice dinner, visit some clubs, and then there's a press conference on Sunday. Can you believe we're related to a famous actor? He's famous in Europe, Chelsea, not here in the States. But I guess he wants to change that. I just hope he's not using us to get more attention for himself. Why would that be a bad thing, honey? Do you want paparazzi and fans bothering us at home, all because they want to get to him? If people know about us, they might want to do interviews about our lives. I hadn't thought about that, sweetie. Why are you worrying so much? Can't we just be happy about something nice happening in our lives? She pleaded. I just want to protect my family, especially the kids. I've read stories about celebrities and how their families lose privacy. I hope that doesn't happen to us, but I'm trying to be careful about this. You're always the thoughtful one, Paul. Whatever you think is best. But can't I be a little excited about this? No, honey. I don't mean to spoil your fun. I just want to keep things calm until we know Pierre better. For all I know, there will be a lot of attention now, but then we might not see him again for a year. I hope you're wrong, she said. I checked online. They say he's worth more than 400 million euros. Not sure how much that is in dollars, but it's still a lot. Sometimes the euro is worth more than the dollar, and sometimes they're the same. But you're right, he's very rich. That doesn't matter to me, though. He's my brother, and that's what I care about, I said. I've already made arrangements. The girls will stay with my parents, and your parents will take Neil. That way it won't be too much work for either of them, she said proudly. Good idea. We'll make sure to bring back souvenirs for all of them. I nodded. I'd never seen Chelsea this excited since I'd met her. It was a new level of happiness. The limo took us to a fancy hotel where Pierre was staying. When we met, we hugged for a long time because we had just found out we were twin brothers. He was emotional, and we both cried a little. Paul, my people have found nothing but dead ends about our adoptions. The records are sealed and probably hidden somewhere, too, he chuckled. That means we'll have to dig deeper. I heard about a guy from friends who knows how to find answers in these situations. He's expensive, but I don't care about the cost. If there are answers, he can find them. Are you okay with him looking into our pasts? He'll start with mine, but will eventually check your side, too. I want you to be prepared. I've told you everything my parents know, which isn't much. I've spoken with them, and they're okay with me finding out the truth. Nothing will change my love for them, and they know that. Same here. My parents don't have answers either. It's a puzzle, Pierre admitted. Your room is next door. Your bags are already there. Why don't you two freshen up and get ready for a night out? My treat, of course. People will be amazed when they see us together, he said, laughing. I'm well known at the clubs. Helena met us at the club. She was beautifully dressed. She looked like a younger version of actress Catherine Zeta-Jones. She offered me her arm, and Pierre escorted Chelsea to our table. He had Chelsea giggling and laughing most of the night. To make him feel welcome, Chelsea danced half of her dances with him and half with me. She seemed fascinated by him and acted like she'd known him for years. I thought it was because he looked like me. I danced 2 dances with Helena, not wanting to ignore her. She was very attractive, but I'm happily married and made that clear. Helena mostly interacted with Pierre and only talked to me when Pierre and Chelsea were dancing. She seemed a bit dismissive, like she thought she was better than me, and I didn't know why. Maybe she knew how beautiful she was and acted superior because of it. I could tell that Chelsea loved this glamorous lifestyle. I didn't want to ruin her mood, so I let her enjoy the night. This fancy scene wasn't for me, but Chelsea was having fun. When we were outside our room, I shook Helena's hand and thanked her for a nice evening. Pierre kissed Chelsea on both cheeks and on the lips before leaving. As we entered our room, Chelsea stopped me. Don't say it, I know what you're thinking. It's a French thing. That's just how they are. They kiss everyone for any reason, Chelsea said. You might be right, but I find it odd that he didn't kiss Helena or me, I said with a chuckle. Chelsea didn't respond. She seemed extra excited that night. We shared some intimate moments, and she seemed happier than I'd seen her in years. After that, we both slept deeply. The next day, we rode in a limo with Pierre, Helena, and Pierre's bodyguard, Gerald, to the press conference. There, Pierre made a big deal about finding me and us being long-lost brothers. I stood on his left, Chelsea on his right, and Helena next to me. I felt nervous with all the cameras snapping photos. Reporters started asking me lots of personal questions. I wasn't ready for this. Pierre pushed me closer to the microphone so I would have to answer. I cleared my throat and said, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to give any statements. Mr. Dumont can tell you more. Then I stepped back quickly, almost bumping into Helena. It seemed like they wanted me to enjoy the attention, but I didn't. Chelsea seemed annoyed. Pierre took my hand and raised it in the air for the cameras, and then he asked Chelsea to share her part of the story. She enjoyed the spotlight and played it up for the reporters. While they were busy, Helena whispered to me, asking what was wrong. I told her, my name is Paul Blaylock, not Pierre Dumont. Even if we look alike, we are very different. This isn't my thing. She seemed surprised. What? You don't want your 15 minutes of fame? She asked, puzzled. This is his thing, I said. Not mine. Helena looked at me closely, trying to see if I was serious. Most people I know would love this attention. Why are you different? I grew up in a loving family that taught me to be confident in who I am. I don't need all this glitz and glamour. I like life simple, I said. After Pierre finished his presentation, Gerald guided us away from the crowd. What happened, Paul? He asked. You seem to back off. Pierre, I did everything you asked. I came here. I took pictures, but you didn't tell me I'd have to speak. I wasn't prepared for that, I explained. It looks like Chelsea handled it well, Pierre said. She kept things going. You have a special woman with you, Paul. You're lucky. Chelsea smiled brightly. Pierre looked at his watch. Oh, we need to get you to the airport. If you miss your flight, the next one is a red-eye, and you don't want that. Your luggage is already in the limo. The driver will get you there on time. There's one more thing before you go. Chelsea, tell him. Chelsea seemed excited. I almost forgot. Paul, guess who's staying with us next week? Your mother? I joked. No, silly. Pierre. He has some free time and wants to know you better. He'll stay with us next week and you two can talk as much as you like. Isn't that great? But what about his security? Where will Gerald and Helena stay? I asked. They'll be at a nearby hotel, Pierre said. I also have some other ideas for security that I think you'll like. Thanks for inviting me, Paul. See you tomorrow night. Before leaving, Chelsea got more kisses on the cheek, following French custom. I got a warm hug and some cheek kisses, too. We both felt the strong bond, and it was overwhelming. On the way home, Chelsea kept talking about everything that happened. I stayed quiet. I wasn't used to this situation in my own home. She chatted away happily. I took the kids upstairs for their baths. Chelsea was busy on the phone, sharing the weekend's events with friends. Later, as we got ready for bed, she cuddled up to me, hinting that she wanted to be close again. Sorry, honey, I'm really tired from the trip. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow. Can we do it another time? I said. You've never turned me down before. What's going on, Paul? You've never invited someone we just met to stay at our house for a week without asking me first, I said, feeling frustrated. Is that what's bothering you? He's your twin brother. I thought you'd love to have him here. He's an amazing person. Wait until you get to know him better, she hinted. Oh, you mean how you already know him? You went wild over him all weekend. I bet you'd replace me with him in no time. Paul, are you really jealous of your own brother? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Stop it right now. You're being silly. Am I? What are you two going to do all week while I'm at work? You'll be with him a lot more than I will. Maybe by the end of the week, you'll know everything about my brother that I didn't get to hear. Then maybe I can spend time with your parents and tell you all about them. You idiot! I was going to be nice to you tonight, but forget it. She was furious. Oh, I get it. Saving it all for my brother, right? Screw you! She was seething. Not tonight, honey. I have a headache, I replied sarcastically. Needless to say, we didn't speak another word that night. I woke up early Monday morning and didn't feel like saying sorry. I was sure she felt the same, so I dressed quietly and went to work. She probably had Pierre's arrival time memorized and would handle things. I wanted to get back to work and forget about this madness. Rachel stormed in 30 minutes early. How did you get here before me? Did Pierre teach you to be professional? She joked. Not really. He's coming today to spend the week with me. Chelsea invited him yesterday and he jumped at the chance. I asked her what she'll do all week with him while I'm at work. I saw the entertainment news yesterday. There was a lot about him and Chelsea, but not much about you. What's going on? Rachel asked. He wanted me to make a big speech, but forgot to tell me. He loves the spotlight, and it seems Chelsea does too. I just let them handle it. Are you sure you want to leave him alone with your wife all week? Why do you ask? There's not much news about him here, but if you look up French news, he has a reputation. He's been married and divorced 4 times because he cheated, and most of those women were married. In an old interview, he said married women are like catnip to him. He finds them irresistible. He can't be faithful and likes juggling multiple relationships. He's the total opposite of you, Paul, Rachel warned. Thanks for the heads up. I'd hate to think he'd go after his sister-in-law, but I can't rule it out. I'll talk to Chelsea tonight about it, I replied. Working in occupational therapy was also good for me. It kept my mind busy and away from unpleasant thoughts. I had mixed feelings about my new brother. I wanted to know more about who we were and why our lives were so different. I hoped his people found some solid information. I dragged my feet and got home a half hour later than usual. To my surprise, there were 3 security contractor trucks in my driveway and on the street. Something unexpected was happening. I walked in to find Pierre in the living room talking to Roland, the foreman, about what he wanted installed. Chelsea came over when she saw me. You're late, she noted. Not every day's the same, Chelsea. I can't leave a patient in the middle of a breakthrough. What's going on here? She smiled. This is a gift from Pierre for letting him stay this week. I told him to call you first, but he insisted. I see. Did he tell you, as my wife, not to call me about what's happening in my own house? She looked down. I thought you'd be happy. Pierre's getting a new security system installed all over the house. That way we'll know right away if anyone unwanted is around. And when he's not here, we can feel safe knowing the kids are secure. You can never be too careful these days, Paul. And how much is this costing us? I told you it's a gift. It won't cost us anything, she added. Maybe not in money, Chelsea, but it's already costing me peace at home. I would have wanted a lot of talks before agreeing to this. My name's on the deed, right? Shouldn't I have a say in home improvements? I'm disappointed in you, Chelsea. Pierre is already pushy enough. Now I have to deal with you too? I thought we were a team. When someone gives you a gift, you say thank you and accept it with a smile, even if you don't like it. He's trying to do something nice for his new brother. Why take that away from him? Why don't you ask him if I can take a shower in my own house? I wouldn't want to upset our guest. Did he bring special water for me? Go take your shower, she snapped. Dinner will be ready when you come back downstairs, Chelsea called. I left her in the kitchen and Pierre with his work. I trudged up the stairs and took a long shower to feel better. After some deep breaths, I went back down with a smile. I hugged my kids and caught up with them before sitting down at the side of the table. Normally, I sit at the head. Chelsea asked, Can Pierre sit at the head of the table tonight as our special guest? Is that okay, sweetie? Of course, I said shortly. My brother is welcome at our table. I didn't look up, but I saw from the corner of my eye that Pierre and Chelsea were smiling. What's this? I asked, pointing to the unfamiliar food on the table. Chelsea beamed. Isn't it great? Pierre got real French food delivered so we can taste his home country's cuisine. Okay, I'll ask again. What is it? Pierre jumped in enthusiastically. Let me explain, brother. Tonight we have 3 of my favorites: escargot, vichyssoise, and bouillabaisse. Escargot are snails served in their shells with a sauce of butter and garlic. Vichyssoise is a thick, creamy soup made of potatoes, leeks, and onions served cold. Bouillabaisse is a hearty seafood stew. Uh-huh. And what are the kids having? My oldest daughter, Amber, piped up, Daddy, we're having fish sticks. Mommy said we have to eat seafood like grown-ups, but we don't like that stuff, she said, wrinkling her nose at the French food. I looked at Chelsea. She knew what I was thinking and about to say. No, there are no more fish sticks left. There were just enough for the kids. Why don't you try something new? It won't hurt you to experience another culture, she said with a mocking tone. Pierre seemed amused but didn't say anything. Excuse me, I said, and went to the kitchen island. I made 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and returned to the table. Really, Paul? Peanut butter and jelly? You're not even going to try the French food? She asked, annoyed. The kids chimed in. We want peanut butter and jelly, too. Okay, Daddy, can we? We don't like fish sticks. I laughed. I guess I'm a kid at heart. I cut my sandwiches in half and gave each of my 3 kids a half sandwich. Then I went back to make more. Chelsea looked embarrassed and upset, but I wasn't trying to impress my brother like she was. Honestly, I don't think she really liked the French food either. I had never seen her eat any of it before tonight. Just as the kids and I were licking the jelly off our fingers, the doorbell rang. Helena dropped off some papers for Pierre to sign and left a manila envelope. The limo took her back to her hotel for the night. Pierre looked at me. This is it, Paul. This has all the information about where we come from. Are you ready? I nodded. Go ahead, Pierre. Whatever is in that envelope is more than we know now. Pierre opened the envelope and quickly scanned the papers. Then he started reading aloud. Our parents were very wealthy. Their names were deliberately erased from all records so we may never know who they are. The records were minimal and unclear. My investigator found the young secretary who typed up the adoption papers. She was young then, now retired, but she remembered our story. She said our mother, named Pauline, had twins. Her wealthy husband found out he couldn't be our biological father because his blood type didn't match ours. Back then, they didn't have DNA tests. He realized his wife, Pauline, had cheated on him. She refused to reveal our real father's name because she knew her husband would destroy him. So he arranged for us to be adopted in different countries. He never gave her any information about where we were. The one thing he allowed her was to name us. You, Paul, were born at 7:45 p.m., and I, Pierre, was born 3 minutes later at 7:48 p.m. "You're my big brother!" Pierre broke down and cried on my shoulder. "We were the result of an affair. Our mother's name is Pauline, but that's all we'll ever know about her. We'll never know our real dad." She never told, even though it meant losing us. She must have really loved him, whoever he was. Knowing this much brought Pierre and me closer. We talked for hours. He apologized for installing the security system without asking. He said it would protect the family and him from any paparazzi. He insisted not to ask about the cost. Money is no issue for family, and I am his only blood-related family. He said the installation should be done by tomorrow and ready to use. I thanked him, trying not to show my frustration. Chelsea had gone to our bedroom earlier, understanding that we needed some quiet time together. It was nice. When I got into bed later that night, I gently tapped her shoulder to talk for a moment. "Honey, are you awake? We need to talk for a minute, then you can go back to sleep." She frowned a bit without opening her eyes. "What do you want? I'm almost asleep." "Sorry, but this is important. Rachel at work told me some things about Pierre that you need to know." "Like what?" she said sleepily. "Rachel did some research online. Pierre has been divorced 4 times because he cheated on his wives. In an interview, he said he's addicted to chasing married women and can never be faithful to one woman. He even said he likes juggling multiple women for fun. He's a ladies' man. You need to be careful around him. He might be so smooth that you won't notice until it's too late." "Is that why you woke me up? He's your twin brother and I'm his sister-in-law. Can't you stop being jealous? Sure, he's very rich. That's no reason to badmouth him. He's always behaved like a perfect gentleman. Maybe you could learn a thing or two. Now stop this nonsense and let's get some sleep before you wake the kids with all this chatter." I was annoyed that she dismissed my warning and rolled over. Maybe I was overreacting to what Rachel said. Now that I think about it, Pierre had never been caught with any relatives, so I let it go. When I got home from work on Tuesday evening, Chelsea told me about her day. Pierre had gone grocery shopping with her, something he hadn't done in years. He laughed because everyone thought he was me. He even used an American accent and fooled them all. She said it was strange to see and hear him act like me. He loved being mistaken for me. The kids enjoyed having 2 identical dads, one at work and one at home. It made my stomach uneasy again. The security system, however, turned out to be incomplete. It was almost done, but one part was back-ordered and might not arrive until next week. The project manager, Roland, promised to bring the part himself as soon as it arrived. Pierre was upset that the system wasn't finished, but said, "That's life." He had Gerald pay for our babysitter and took us out to the Excelsior Hotel for a fancy dinner. At least there I had more options besides snails. There's a dance club on the lower level. It's quite popular, but we had never tried it before. Chelsea danced the first 2 dances with me. The rest were with my brother. Since he was our guest this week, she was just being polite. Helena was dining with us also and asked me to dance with her, but I kindly said no. While Pierre and Chelsea were on the dance floor, I decided to chat with Helena a bit. "So, Miss Moreno," she interrupted me. "Helena, please. Miss Moreno is my mother," and she laughed. "Thank you, Helena. I didn't want to be rude. What is your background, if I may ask?" "Moreno is Spanish, correct?" "Yes, it is. I was born in Spain. My parents divorced when I was 7, and my mother moved us to France for her new job. I've lived there since then. I learned Spanish and French at home and took English in school." "Your English is very good. I can barely hear an accent except when you speak to Pierre in French. Sadly, I don't speak any other languages. So, are you Pierre's personal assistant or what?" "Or what?" she replied. "What do you mean?" "It means I do whatever he needs. If he needs a personal assistant or secretary, that's me. Someone to run his errands? That's me too. I handle anything or anyone he wants." "Are you saying there's nothing you wouldn't do for him?" "Pretty much," she admitted. "He pays me very well. My life revolves around him, his needs, all the time. But doesn't that make you—" "What? A professional helper? Call me what you want. For what I get paid, I don't care what anyone thinks. One day I'll retire and live in comfort." "I appreciate your honesty, Helena. I don't judge you. I actually find you quite interesting. She chuckled at my remark. No one's called me interesting before. It's something I say to special people, I joked. She gave me a curious look at that. Later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, Chelsea was very affectionate. I couldn't help wondering if she was thinking of him while we were together. I tried not to dwell on it. The next day, Wednesday evening, Chelsea seemed a bit off. She wouldn't look me in the eye but made my favorite meal and was very attentive. It felt strange, and I thought I saw Pierre wink at her when he thought I didn't notice. She didn't react. He seemed to be hiding something exciting. He told me about his childhood to help me get to know him better. His rich grandmother on his adoptive father's side left him a trust fund of €1.5 million. He went to the best acting schools in Europe, and his wealth grew even more when he got a role on a popular sitcom in France. He even mentioned us doing some TV or movies together. I pretended to be interested, but I wasn't. He seemed very happy to have a twin, saying we were getting closer every day and he wanted it to continue. He strongly suggested that I move my family to France to be closer to him, offering to cover all the costs. He said my job credentials would easily be valuable there. I thanked him for his kind offer and politely said I'd think about it, but there was no way I'd move. When I joined Chelsea in bed that night, she showed signs of not being in the mood. What's wrong? Why are you acting this way tonight, Chelsea? Everything's fine, Paul. Please don't push me. I'm trying not to spill the beans. You mean you're keeping a secret from me? Your husband? Let me guess. It's Pierre's secret, right? I promised I wouldn't say anything, but yes, I'm helping Pierre with a big surprise for you tomorrow. Please stop asking questions. I'm barely holding it in. You're going to love it, you'll see, she said excitedly. So that's why she was acting so strange tonight. Why was Pierre doing all this? First a very expensive security system, and now what? Chelsea was so excited about the surprise that she couldn't get in the mood. What a letdown. She said she'd make it up to me. I had a feeling I was not going to like my surprise tomorrow. I hugged and kissed my children as usual before going to work Thursday morning. I felt relieved and happy at work Thursday. Helping people cope with life's challenges gave me so much in return. I couldn't imagine a more rewarding job. I knew I would never move to France, but was trying to think of a way to let my brother down gently. The day passed quickly. I almost dreaded leaving work for the chaos at home. I decided to face whatever was waiting for me head on. When I got home, I saw a fancy blue sports car parked in front of my house. I wondered if it belonged to one of Pierre's friends or co-workers visiting. If we had another celebrity at our home, Chelsea would be ecstatic. Was a visiting celebrity my surprise? I hoped not. Things were chaotic enough already. I parked in the garage and the kids ran to greet me. They always kept me grounded. Their hugs and kisses were irreplaceable. They were the joy of my life. I braced myself to find out what the surprise was. When I entered the living room, my jaw dropped. Chelsea was wearing a fancy black dress that fit her perfectly. It showed off her beauty. "What do you think, honey?" she asked excitedly. "That dress looks expensive. Where did it come from?" I asked. "It came from Paris," Pierre said. "It's made of the finest French silk. I had it custom made for her. Doesn't she look amazing? As I said, you have a beautiful wife, my brother," he repeated. "She has been so kind to me, it's a small token of my appreciation," Pierre said, also dressed in a very expensive tuxedo. "I see. What's going on? And whose car is that outside? Do we have another guest?" I asked. "Oh, no, honey. It's just the three of us. The babysitter will be here soon. Pierre is taking us out tonight to celebrate. That's why we're all dressed up," she explained. "Yes," Pierre added. "I ordered you a new tuxedo as well from the measurements your lovely wife gave me. It is on your bed." "Yes, honey. It's waiting for you. Why don't you put it on and we'll go out to celebrate?" Chelsea suggested. I gave a small smile. "And what exactly are we celebrating?" "Wonderful news," she gushed. "But Pierre will tell you after you're dressed." 10 minutes later, I came downstairs wearing one of my regular suits. "What? Why aren't you wearing your new tuxedo, sweetie?" she asked. "The pants were too tight," I lied. "I couldn't fit into them, but I'll be fine in this suit." "Idiots! I'll have their heads," Pierre angrily exclaimed. "I do not tolerate incompetence." "The tuxedo is fine, Pierre. The problem is me. I've gained a few pounds and got too big. When I lose some weight, it'll fit perfectly." Thank you for the nice clothes for me and my wife. Clothes? Yes, but that's nothing, brother. I have much to make up for with you. You and Chelsea have been perfect hosts this week, so I have 3 things to share before we go out. The sports car outside is a brand new French-made Venturi Fetish. It took some work to get it here so fast. It's called the Fetish because of the incredible feeling you get while driving it. It's like the French version of your American Tesla, but it's much more expensive and not as well known. Did you know the French were the first to make an all-electric car? And now it's yours for free, my twin. The title is already in your name. People will be talking about you every time you drive it. Pierre smiled at me. So this is what Chelsea and Pierre were hiding from me. My mind was racing, trying to figure out how much this car must cost. I didn't dare ask, but it had to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know what to say, Pierre. This is too much. I can't accept such an expensive gift, I said. It's nothing, and it's already done, Paul. It's the least I can do for someone I've come to love so much in such a short time. You're the only one I never knew I always wanted. Now that you're in my life, I never want to be apart again. I want us to spend a lot of time together from now on. There's something else I want to show you. Pierre handed me a manila envelope. What's this? I asked. Open it and see, sweetie, Chelsea said excitedly. I pulled out a stack of papers with my signature on every page. I remembered these papers well. They were the mortgage papers for the house I bought about 6 weeks ago. I'd only made the first payment on the house since then. Right on top was the deed of trust, showing it as paid in full. I might not have known the car's value, but I sure knew my home loan was $950,000. It was a 30-year mortgage. I felt lightheaded as I realized what I was looking at. But what? How? I stammered before Pierre interrupted me. I wanted to do something special for my twin brother to show you how much you mean to me. I could buy you 50 such houses and still owe you, Paul. The love and bond you've given me are priceless. Don't even try to say no. These gifts are just small tokens of my love. This is the start of a new life for both of us, and I can't wait to see our relationship grow. Isn't he amazing? Isn't this wonderful, Paul? I cried for joy when he told me about it. I was stunned, Chelsea said. It was hard not to tell you until everything was ready. I'm still shaking from his generosity. When I looked at Pierre, we both had tears in our eyes. They were tears of joy and love. This is so unexpected, Pierre. I don't know what to say. It's too much, but I won't take away the happiness I see on your face. I'm so grateful, Pierre. Chelsea and I can't thank you enough. Pierre replied, Oh, come on. We must hurry so we don't miss our dinner reservations. I have something else to discuss with you, but we can talk about it later, Pierre suggested. Chelsea and I hugged him tightly before heading out to his waiting limo. Helena and Gerald were waiting for us in the limo. Before getting in, I walked around the Venturi Fetish car and whistled. Pierre smiled at me and said, She's a beauty, isn't she? I nodded. Once in the limo, Helena, Pierre, and Gerald were talking quickly in French. It sounded fast to me since I didn't understand a word. They were catching up on business, and I didn't mind. I was still in shock from the 2 surprises I had just received. After experiencing such kindness, I felt guilty for being so stubborn about the tuxedo. It fit perfectly, but I didn't like how it was given to me. But the car and house gifts were incredible. I had never felt so small. While they talked in French, I used my cell phone to look up the value of the Venturi Fetish sports car. There weren't many for sale in America, but the ones I found cost about $425,000. I realized that Pierre had given me gifts worth about $1,375,000 as if it was nothing. It was very humbling. We were driven to an exclusive restaurant. The chef made amazing dishes. Not recognizing any words on the menu, I asked the waiter to explain 3 items I was considering. When he mentioned the word steak, I chose that. Pierre ordered for Chelsea, and she seemed happy with his choice. While we waited for our food, Pierre shared his idea. Paul, having you and your lovely wife welcome me into your home and lives this past week has meant so much to me. I have to return to France on Saturday because of some business matters. I would be a bad host if I didn't invite you both to join me in France next week. It would be even better if you could stay for 2 weeks instead of 1. We still have a lot to learn about each other, and it would be a great chance to do so. I will be busy with work some days, just like your schedule last week. But my evenings will be all for you. I want to show you the best of France. Maybe you will love it as much as I do, and consider moving here so we can be close. Now that you are in my life, nothing would make me happier than having my twin brother near every day. Could you ask at work tomorrow if you can take off all next week to visit me? It would mean so much to me, and I will take care of everything. Please, Paul. You have at least 10 days of saved vacation time. Why not use it to come to Paris and see France's beauty? Chelsea urged. I do have 2 weeks of vacation time saved up, but I'd like to discuss it with Chelsea first. It looks like she wants to go already. After Pierre's generous offer, I can't say no to him. Plus, I want to get to know my brother better. He seems more remarkable than I realized before. I'm almost sure we can come, Pierre. I have seniority at work, so they should let me take the time off, even if it's short notice. I'll talk to my boss first thing in the morning. Chelsea and I are looking forward to spending more time with you. The kids will benefit from visiting a new country. It will be a great vacation for the whole family, I said excitedly. Ah, yes, the children. There might be a problem with them coming on short notice, Pierre said. How so? I asked. My brother Chelsea told me that while you both have your passports ready, your children do not. Even with all my money, I can't rush your government to get them passports quickly. It just can't be done. With your permission, I'll ask Helena, my assistant, to stay and take care of your children while we enjoy France. If you don't like that idea, you can make any arrangements for them that you feel are best, and I will cover the cost. Passports? I forgot about that. We talked about getting them, but didn't think it was urgent. As much as I'd hate to leave Amber, Neil, and Rhonda behind, it's still a great chance for Chelsea and me. I don't mind Helena taking care of them if Chelsea agrees, I said. Chelsea nodded. Helena added, I will take care of them like they are my own. They are very well behaved, and it would be an honor to look after them as long as you need. She seemed sincere. Pierre jumped back in. It's settled then. I'll have Helena book our flights in the morning once you confirm, Paul. I can't remember the last time I was this excited. Thank you, brother, Pierre exclaimed. Chelsea was beaming, looking just as excited as I felt. Greg Dixon, my boss at New Directions, Inc., is also a good friend. When I asked, he quickly approved my leave and wished me well. He said he read about my twin story in the news and was happy for me. I called Chelsea right away to share the good news. Helena was already with them, ready to book flights and make arrangements. Chelsea was excited and promised to have us ready to fly in the morning. I worked hard to make sure my patients would be taken care of while I was away. Imagine my surprise when Greg called me into his office at 4:45 that afternoon, just before quitting time. Paul, I'm really sorry, but I have no choice. Carl Reed and Francine Walsh have both taken FMLA leave. As you know, we must honor those requests. They will both be off Monday, which leaves us short-staffed. I'm really sorry, but I have to cancel your vacation for Monday. There's no way I can manage without you three. They say they'll be back Tuesday, so you can leave after Monday. To make it up to you, I'll approve your full 2 weeks starting Tuesday. Can you work with that? But we've already bought plane tickets and everything. What do I tell them, Greg? Tell them it's a last-minute issue we can't control. I'm as surprised as you. I didn't know they had FMLA requests approved, but it's legit. I don't know what else to say, Paul. And what if I don't show up on Monday? Please don't joke about that, Paul. You're our best therapist. I'd hate to lose you over this. See what you can work out, but I need to see you Monday. After that, you can take your 2 weeks. I was unhappy driving home, hoping we could change our tickets to Tuesday without too much trouble. The only good part was that I could stay for 2 weeks straight. That's terrible news, honey, Chelsea said sadly. How can they do that to you after all these years? You're the best man they've got. Pierre, Helena, and Chelsea listened closely as I told them about the unusual plans. On my way home, I had a thought. Can we change Chelsea's and my flights to Tuesday instead of tomorrow? I'll still have the full 2 weeks after Monday. You and Gerald can leave tomorrow and handle business. We'll join you on Tuesday. Does that work? Chelsea looked really sad, like I had taken away her favorite toy. This trip was the most exciting thing for her in years, and I was making it tricky. But, sweetie, I've already packed everything for tomorrow, she said. Would it be too much if I flew to France with Pierre tomorrow to start our vacation early? Helena can help you with the kids over the weekend so you won't be alone. Then you can fly out on Tuesday and join us. Pierre nodded but stayed silent. I didn't want to upset her, and Pierre would agree with whatever I decided. Helena gave me a sneaky smile as Chelsea made her suggestion. I thought for a moment before saying, "Sure, why not? It gives me a couple of days to try my new car. I'm excited to stay safe in that thing." I laughed. Chelsea added, "Of course, honey. Isn't this so exciting? Since our things are packed together, I'll take everything tomorrow. Then you can fly on Tuesday without any worries, and we'll pick you up at the airport, right, Pierre?" "Of course," Pierre agreed. "I'm sad you can't leave with us tomorrow, Paul, but happy you'll still have 2 weeks with us. Enjoy your new toy over the weekend. It's a bit of good and bad, no?" Saturday morning, my 3 kids, Helena and I, saw Chelsea, Pierre, and Gerald off at the airport. The kids were sad they couldn't go to France this time, but I promised to get their passports for next time. That cheered them up. I told Helena not to worry about watching the kids until Monday. I would take care of them over the weekend since I was home. She seemed upset and tried to change my mind, but I insisted. She eventually nodded and returned to her hotel. I wondered if she was losing money because she wasn't needed until Monday, or if Pierre set this up. I wasn't new to being a single dad sometimes, so we fell into our routine. Before she left, Chelsea made Amber promise to help with her little brother and sister. She took her role seriously and started bossing them around. I felt uneasy about sending Helena away, but then realized I couldn't drive my new sports car. It wasn't fit for family use, so I moved my green Chevy Tahoe out of the garage and parked the Blue Vision Fetish inside to keep it safe. Later that afternoon, after lunch with the kids, the doorbell rang. I answered it. "Hello, sir. Are you Mr. Dumont or Mr. Blaylock? I can't tell." "I'm Paul Blaylock." "Mr. Blaylock, I'm Roland from the security company that installed your new system earlier this week. May I come in?" "Of course." I opened the door for him. "I thought you wouldn't be back until next week. Something about a missing part?" "Yes, sir. The key part came in earlier than expected, so here I am. We always try to surprise clients in a good way. Can I use your office computer to finish the setup?" I led him to my home office. He quickly began working on the system. "All I need to do is install this security key in one of your USB slots. Your system has been working non-stop since Monday. The last step is about your video log files. This key lets you access our secure cloud servers. It's set up so you can access your files from this computer only. No one else can see them but you. We take your data security very seriously. Cameras are in every room except the bathrooms, including the doorbell camera. They're motion and voice activated. When activity stops, the file is saved with time and date stamps. You can't delete any records directly from the cloud. We have special forms for that." Roland finished up and said, "You're all set. Would you like me to show you how to access your logs?" I nodded. A few clicks and I was looking at multiple camera feeds live. Another click and I saw logs of past events linked to my account. He picked a random file showing us all eating in the kitchen on the night I made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches instead of fancy French food. Then he clicked another file from Wednesday afternoon. After a few seconds, he quickly closed it in embarrassment. "I apologize. Please don't be embarrassed, sir. We see files like this all the time. You and your wife were clearly enjoying some private time together. The system doesn't know when to record and when not to. You can easily turn off a camera for a while to stop recordings like this. Just follow the instructions and it does the work for you. Do you have any other questions, sir?" "Yes, just one, if I may. Can I download and save any of my recorded files to my own computer?" "Why, yes, sir. It's one of our most popular features. Many clients create their own private libraries of such files. When viewing your files in the cloud, simply right-click anywhere on the playback screen and select Save As. The files belong to you and you can do with them as you wish. We keep them safe against tampering in case of crimes like robbery. We follow the legal requirements for your protection." "You've been very helpful, Roland. Thank you for your time." We shook hands and he left in his truck. I sat down feeling stunned. My mind was racing. The recording that showed me and Chelsea being intimate wasn't recorded in our bedroom, and I was at work when it happened. She wasn't with me. Rachel's warning had come true. Of course, seeing just a moment of it didn't explain everything. I wanted to know more. I decided to download and check all the footage from before they went to France. I wanted to hear every conversation and see everything they did behind my back. Apparently, Pierre didn't understand how the security system worked. He thought some parts were missing and it didn't work. I guess it was nice to have a twin brother for a short while, but now I knew I would be brotherless for the rest of my life. I realized that my hard drive didn't have enough space to save all the files, so I started scanning each file quickly, looking for any with Chelsea and Pierre in the same room. I wrote down the file names and timestamps to keep everything organized. Chelsea texted me at 3:15 p.m. Chelsea, just arrived in Paris. It's already 9:15 p.m. here, 6 hours ahead of you. The nightlights are beautiful. Me, I bet Chelsea. How's Helena? Me, ID Chelsea. Isn't she there with you? Me, no Chelsea. Pierre's going to be upset with her. She's supposed to be helping you. Me, I don't need help until Monday. Sent her to a hotel until then, Chelsea. He's still going to be disappointed with her. Me. It's all my fault. Blame me, not her, Chelsea. If I call now, can I talk to the kids? Me. Sorry, they're napping. Maybe later. I lied. Chelsea. Okay, not sure when I can call again. Time difference. Me. Oh, Chelsea. I'm so excited. Gotta go. Now me. Oh, Chelsea. Give the kids my love. Love you too. Me. Okay, bye, Chelsea. Hugs and kisses. Me. Bye. She didn't even notice I hadn't returned any loving words. Her excitement was so high that I hoped it would distract her. I wasn't ready for any confrontations, but I did wonder why Pierre would be upset with Helena when I had sent her away. Did he think I couldn't take care of my own kids? I packed up the kids and took them to Costco. They had 5-terabyte external hard drives on sale for less than $100. I bought 2 of them. While we were there, we went through the toy aisle even though they don't carry many toys except during the holidays. I let each of them pick one item within my price range, which made them happy. We stopped at McDonald's on the way back, and the kids used up a lot of energy in the playground area. We all got fries and a milkshake to tide us over until supper. Once home, I kept scanning the log files, which took up the rest of my Saturday. Feeling mentally exhausted, I finished my quick searches and ordered pizza for supper. My kids could eat pizza 3 times a day without complaining. After I put them to bed, I realized the house was a mess. I smiled at the chance to pick up after them. It wasn't a chore for me. Nothing was more important in my life now than the 3 of them. I tried not to think about what Pierre and my wife were doing while I was away. Who was I kidding? There was no way I was going to fall asleep anytime soon, so I started downloading all 26 of the files I had marked for a closer look onto the new external drives. Almost one drive was filled because the files were huge, being high-definition recordings. I finally fell asleep around 2 a.m. I didn't need an alarm because my 3 hungry kids woke me up at 7 a.m. wanting my special pancakes. No, I didn't get enough sleep, and yes, the kitchen was a mess afterward with syrup everywhere, but I didn't mind at all. Once I cleaned them up and made the kitchen look nice again, the phone rang. Hi, honey. Can you hear me okay? I'm calling all the way from France. The excited voice said, Oh, hello, Chelsea. Hold on a second, the kids just finished breakfast. I passed the phone to Amber, who chatted for a few minutes. One thing she said caught my attention. No, she didn't stay over. She's not here. Daddy's watching us alone. Why would Chelsea ask our daughter if someone else had slept here? I told Amber to give the phone to Neil and Rhonda next. When 3-year-old Rhonda said, Okay, Mommy, here's Daddy, I took the phone and turned it off. Chelsea would think Rhonda accidentally turned it off and wouldn't realize I was avoiding her. I waited 15 minutes and then turned it back on. It rang almost immediately, but it wasn't Chelsea. Hi, Paul. How are things going with your new twin? I couldn't help it. I cried on the phone. My sister and I might not share the same blood, but our bond was stronger than anything I had with my twin brother, Pierre. Anita, thank God you called. I'm losing my mind trying to figure this out. Figure what out, Paul? What's wrong? Did Chelsea's plane not land in France yesterday? It landed fine. That's not the issue. Chelsea is cheating on me with Pierre, and it's breaking me. Cheating? Chelsea, are you sure? Absolutely. I need to look at a lot of videos to understand what's been happening behind my back. But I need to take care of Amber, Neil, and Rhonda first, with Chelsea in France and me here with the kids. Anita cut in. I'm so sorry, Paul. That's awful. You don't have to say any more. Darren and I were going to take our kids to the water park today. How about we pick up yours, too? I can't let you handle 5 kids at once. That's too much. Don't worry, little brother, she chuckled. Mom and Dad will help. They love spoiling all their grandkids at once. We'll bring them back by 8 tonight, tired and well-fed. How does that sound? It sounds like a lifesaver, sis. The kids can have fun, and I can go through these recordings and try to put the pieces together. Pierre is very rich, so I need to be really careful and only confront them with solid proof. Anita and I hugged tightly as she left with my kids. First, I disabled the camera in the office where I'd spent a lot of time. With no one else at home, I turned up the audio on my computer to hear everything clearly. I skipped any unimportant parts. I wanted to understand how this all happened and hear what they said about me. What I found out shocked me. I didn't know my wife was so interested in money. Pierre showered her with praise and gifts, which she eagerly accepted. She giggled at his accent and blushed at his compliments. He gave her jewelry and clothes she never showed me. Their friendly kisses turned into real kisses, and soon she gave him what I thought was only ours. My reaction surprised me. I expected anger but felt strange watching someone who looked like me with my wife. The only difference was his voice. I saw them kiss and touch on Tuesday. I'm sure they hadn't slept together yet because she was with me that night. I now think she was imagining I was him. Wednesday, he took Chelsea to his spare bedroom and made slow, passionate love to her for hours. She felt guilty and avoided looking at me that day. She had the kids watching Frozen repeatedly while she was with him. Thursday and Friday, while I was at work, Pierre was with Chelsea in our bed. Watching her with him was eerie. She knew his body well, just as she knew mine. Seeing her do the things I taught her with him was hard. There was no way I could be with her again or stay married to her. Divorce was the only option. Pierre's money could crush me, so I had to be careful. Listening to their talks convinced me. Pierre thought money could buy anything, including me. After making love on Wednesday, I heard them talk about me. "So how do you think we should tell Paul about us?" he asked. "No, it's best if he never finds out," she replied. "He's the only family Pierre has left, and we don't want to hurt him." "Can you stay married to him while sneaking moments with me? Can we find happiness together this way?" Pierre asked softly. "I think I can, Pierre, but my heart belongs to you now. You've made me fall in love with you completely. I still love him. A part of me always will. But you, Pierre, you make me feel alive. Paul may look like you, but he's not the man you are." "Thank you for saying that, love. But I feel bad for taking your love from my brother. I need to make it up to him, even if he doesn't understand why." "What do you mean, Pierre? What are you planning?" "Every man loves a good sports car. I'll get him the best French sports car I can find quickly. And this house, you just bought it recently, right?" "Yes, just over a month ago. We still have boxes to unpack." "Perfect. I'll pay off the mortgage and give him the sports car tomorrow. This will keep him off balance and make him like me more." "Wow, you'd do that for us?" "For him, my love. My gifts to you are much more personal," he laughed. That's how he explained the car and mortgage. He felt guilty but still planned to keep seeing Chelsea behind my back. This made Chelsea one of the best-paid women in history. She might be worth a lot to him, but to me, she's nothing. I heard another conversation through the doorbell camera. They were sitting on the porch holding hands. "I'm sorry, my dear, but I have to go back to France this weekend for business. Can you convince Paul to bring you with him to visit me for a week or two? He and I can get closer while you and I have some fun." "To France? With you? How wonderful! I've never been but always wanted to see Paris. I'm sure we can convince him. He has vacation time saved up. We were saving it for a family trip, but he could use it for this." "Magnificent! I have another idea. What if I arrange for you and me to have the first 3 days alone, and then he joins us later?" "I don't know how you'd arrange that, Pierre, but I'd love it if you could. You're so intriguing." "Yes, I'm in. Leave it to me. I can make sure he has to work on Monday, then join us later." Pierre arranged for me to work on Monday? He must have had someone else make these plans because he was with Chelsea at my house. And who does all his planning? His assistant, Helena. Now, everything fit together. Even as Pierre professes his love for me, his twin brother, he easily seduces married women while assuming he can buy my silence with gifts. He will soon see how wrong he is about me. It was 2:30 in the afternoon when my doorbell rang. From my computer, I saw Helena on the camera, dressed to impress. Instead of inviting her in, I stepped outside to meet her on the porch. "Hi, Helena. I thought you knew I'm watching the kids until Monday. Sorry if that wasn't clear." "Hello, Paul," she said, clasping my hand. "It's great to see you again." May I come in? The kids aren't here right now, so you came for nothing. Oh, it's not for nothing, Paul. I have something to show you. Will you let me in? Why not show me here on the porch, Helena? I couldn't do that, she replied. It wouldn't be proper. Well, I don't think it's proper for me to be alone with you dressed like this. So, if that's all, you can leave. What? I don't understand. I thought we had a connection, Paul. Please let me in, and I'll show you. So this is the moment you prove you'd do anything for Pierre. Is that it, Helena? I don't know what you're talking about, Paul. Oh, no? Pierre's security guy set up my system, and it's live now. Roland told Pierre. How am I doing so far? She just stared at me. Pierre knows I sent you away until Monday, and he's unhappy with you. Why? Because he wants you to seduce me on camera, and here you are dressed to seduce. Is that about right, Miss Moreno? A single tear rolled down her cheek as she struggled to keep her cool. She held my hand and said, Please walk with me, Paul. I promise you won't get hurt. Her honesty convinced me. I locked the front door and we started walking down the street. She tapped on her phone and put it away. Paul, she said, I need to say sorry and that's why I'm here. But I'm also faced with a huge problem that could end my career, so this isn't easy for me. What do you mean, Helena? Just then, an Uber arrived next to us. Our ride is here. Let's go somewhere private to talk, she said. We went to the local shopping mall and walked to the food court. We got some snacks and then she began, Paul, you're really sharp. You surprised me today. I didn't think you would catch on so quickly. But there are some things you don't know. I'm here to tell you the rest. I noticed how everyone who passed us stared at Helena's beauty. Even I couldn't stop looking. Helena, I might know more than you think, but I won't show all my cards now. You work for my brother and I know you're loyal to him. I don't know what you're trying to do today. You were right about everything. I was supposed to stay with you this weekend, help with the kids and, well, get close to you. Pierre knows your security system is up and running. He's been involved with your wife and told me to get close to you as a backup plan. If you cheated with me, you wouldn't be able to complain about her cheating with him. I already know how Chelsea has been cheating. You can tell Pierre I'm stupid for not falling for you. Does Chelsea know about this plan? Helena nodded. That means she's part of this betrayal too. I expected as much. Why are you telling me this, Helena? Won't this cost you your job? That's why I'm worried. Pierre doesn't know I'm telling you this. When he sees the video from your porch, he might think I took you somewhere private so I could convince you to give in. He might think we'd go back to your home to do things, and it would all be saved in the cloud. Yet here you are being honest with me. Why would you do that if it might cost you your job? I have done this for Pierre with other husbands before. Usually they were already cheating or treating their wives badly. I felt I was freeing the women from a bad situation. But your case is different. You have a happy marriage and 3 kids. We don't think you have ever cheated and likely never would. Chelsea doesn't need to be saved by Pierre. She'd just lose her marriage and family. I didn't agree with Pierre's plan to go after her, but that probably made him want her more. He thinks winning over your faithful wife proves he's irresistible. From my point of view, Helena, he used his money, status, and French accent to charm her. It also helps that he's my twin. What he's done is awful, ruining my happy family just because he can. Does he think I'll just accept this? He hoped you'd never find out. To ease his guilt, he gave you the car and paid your mortgage. He thinks it's okay because he plans to return her to you. He wrongly believes Americans are as casual about cheating as some Europeans, she added. He's wrong. I plan to divorce her and let her go wherever she wants. How can you say that, Paul, with just suspicions? You need solid proof against a man like Pierre Dumont. Pierre didn't know my security system was working from day one. The missing security key just stopped access, but it was recording everything from the start. I have clear, unedited videos of almost everything he did with Chelsea. Helena gasped and covered her mouth. Are you sure? No one has ever collected proof of his affairs. This could be very dangerous for you. Does he know you have it? Not yet. I've been reviewing it all day. I haven't talked to a lawyer yet, but I will divorce Chelsea. Oh no. Pierre definitely doesn't want you to divorce her. He thinks his affair with her is just a small problem in your marriage. He believes he's made up for it. Once he's done with her, he'll move on to the next. He wants you to stay married and hopes you'll laugh about it someday, After all, you're his only brother. He believes in sharing everything. I no longer consider him my brother. I have a sister whom I love deeply, but he is dead to me forever. My heart is closed to him. Paul, are you serious? This will destroy him. I always thought his cheating would catch up to him. Destroy him? I doubt it, or he wouldn't have wrecked my marriage and my life. He treats me like I'm nothing. That's not true, Paul. You don't see him like I do. Until you came along, he never cared about anyone but himself. He will be shattered. I'll have to see Chelsea often since we share custody of the kids, but I am done with Pierre. I'll make his life as hard as he made mine. What can you do to him? He's powerful, and trying to fight him will be like an ant fighting a giant. He can crush you. Don't worry about me, Helena. I'll manage. But if he finds out you helped me, he might come after you too. This might ruin your career with him. What would you do then? Like you, Paul, I have a tough choice to make. If you go for divorce, which seems likely, Pierre will desperately try to change your mind. If you make this public and shame him, he might cut you off and fight back hard. I've seen him hurt those who challenged him, but he always gets away with it. He wanted me to seduce you and make it look like we had an affair while your wife was away. My word against yours, making you look bad, but he still wins. Others deserved it, you don't. You are an honest and strong person, Paul Blaylock. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I'm curious, Helena. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. What is it, Paul? I've told you most of what I know. This past Thursday, when we were all in the limo and you three were talking in French, what was the conversation about? Helena looked uneasy. I didn't want to make Pierre look worse, so I didn't say anything. But since you asked, he was bragging about his affair with your wife in your own house, betraying you. That's why Gerald looked at you with disdain. I criticized Pierre for treating his brother that way. He dismissed me and said you were compensated for it with his gifts and told me to keep quiet. He even suggested that I would enjoy seducing you to keep you in your place. He chose my outfit and made me send a selfie before coming here. I'm sorry, Paul, but that's the truth. For him, humiliating another man is a thrill, more than the act itself. It's his favorite thing. I need to know, Helena. You have to choose a side now. Look at me and tell me, are you still with Pierre, my enemy, or are you my friend? Maybe my only friend? She looked at me for a long time, and I saw something I hadn't before. Was it compassion? Determination? I couldn't tell. I have been unhappy with Pierre for some time. He's treated me well, but it feels like I've been selling my soul bit by bit. I haven't quite reached the amount I wanted to retire, but I'm close. If I'm going to leave him, we have to time it right and work together. If he suspects I'm leaving him for you, he'll stop at nothing. But if we play along for now, we can buy some time to plan. I believe you, Helena. This is a huge decision for both of us. I have many things to do in the next week, and I'll need your help to avoid suspicion. My house is bugged, so we can't talk there. Let's buy some prepaid cell phones. If you need to talk to me when I'm home, call and let it ring once. I'll go outside to talk. This way we can coordinate without him knowing. That's a good idea, Paul. I have some plans to delay things with Pierre and your wife. It might give us the time we need. Will you be at work tomorrow? Yes, sadly. I'm sorry, Paul. That's my fault. Pierre had me arrange for 2 therapists to be suddenly unavailable, and I did what he asked. I only wish I'd come to you sooner. Even if you had, Chelsea has a knack for finding rich guys. She would have gone with him anyway. So, you're not going to France to join them? No way, I'm not going there now. Are you going to work the rest of the week or take some time off? I need the rest of the week off to get ready for our separation and divorce. Are you close with your boss? At New Directions? Yes, Greg Dixon is not just the managing partner, he's also a good friend. Why do you ask? If you plan to take vacation next week, your wife or Pierre might call the office to check. Would Greg cover for you and say you're working if they called? I'm sure he would. That's a great idea, Helena. I really like the way you think. Helena's eyes lit up the space between us as she smiled. You can bet Pierre will want to know how far I got with you today. He wants me to seduce you fast. How about we stage a scene at your house where I come on strong and you strongly refuse me in front of the cameras? Pierre will see the recording and see how I try to seduce you, but you stay loyal to your wife. This will buy us time as we stage a new scene every day and show him you have qualities he lacks. Now I see why Pierre chose you. You're really good, Helena. Later that evening at my house, after flirting with me for over an hour, Helena was just in her underwear and hugged me closely. When she tried to kiss me, I turned my face, and she kissed my cheek instead. I thanked her for the offer and told her how beautiful she was and that she would make a great wife someday. But I was loyal to my wife. Before she left, I asked her to come back at 7:30 a.m. to watch the kids while I was at work. She smiled and said for the camera, "Maybe next time." Shortly after she left, Amber, Neil, and Rhonda came back home, very tired. I hugged Anita, thanking her a lot for her help. I didn't make the kids bathe first and put them to bed quickly, without neglecting my patients. Even with the extra work because of Carl Reed and Francine Walsh being absent, I used every free moment to search online for apartments that suited me and the kids. I didn't want to stay in my house because of the betrayal and because it was paid for by my twin enemies. I noted 3 places I wanted to visit before deciding. Greg reassured me he would cover for me, especially after the betrayal and divorce I was facing. He told the office secretary to send all calls about me to him without saying anything personal to the caller. Monday evening, when I got home from work, the kids were happy to see me and told me Aunt Helena had ordered pizza for them. Helena then said she had a chicken casserole in the oven almost ready. She told me to shower and it would be ready when I came back down. I was very surprised to see her in this domestic role. I never imagined her like this. When I came back, the table was set and the kids were waiting with their pizza. Helena was serving chicken casserole onto my plate, then hers. "This is my mom's recipe," she said. "Nobody has ever tried it without asking for more." She watched as I took my first bite. "Delicious," I said. "After what Pierre brought in, I never thought I would like French cooking, but you changed my mind, Helena." I was sincere in my praise, and Helena appreciated it. Later that evening, after the kids were clean and in bed, Helena read them a bedtime story. They were all captivated by her voice. I was impressed as I watched from the doorway. This was a side of Helena I never expected. We watched some TV together downstairs, and Helena sat next to me, flirting and teasing me. She again showed herself in just her bra and panties. She hugged me tightly. With more difficulty, I politely declined and sent her home. Late that night before bed, I thought about our staged scene and wondered if Helena was doing the same. Tuesday morning, I pretended to leave for work. After feeding the kids breakfast and cleaning them up, Helena put them in child car seats in Chelsea's car, locked up, and left. She met me a block away, and we went to a place that watches kids during the day. She dropped them off there, and then we went apartment hunting together. She was surprised I called her the night before to set this up and thought it was better than watching the kids all day alone. We visited the 3 places I had found. I asked for her advice before signing a month-to-month lease. After a nice lunch together, I rented a storage unit nearby. As we left, my cell phone rang at 3 p.m. like I expected. "Your flight landed here in Paris at 9 p.m., but you weren't on it," said a worried woman. "I'm sorry, Chelsea, I forgot to call. My vacation was canceled again. It's been really stressful. I might not make it to France this week. Maybe next week. I lied." "But you were supposed to be off after Monday," she said, confused. "Schedules can change quickly," I said casually. "What should I tell Pierre?" "Whatever you want, Chelsea. I need to go. A patient is waiting. Bye." 10 minutes later, Helena's phone rang. I stayed quiet while she spoke. She had a 12-minute conversation in fast French. I understood nothing, but it was clear they were talking quickly. It was unmistakably Pierre. The call finally ended. "Wow, he's really upset," she said. "Chelsea called your work. Your boss told her that 3 people tested positive for COVID, so he canceled your vacation. Pierre is mad. He asked if I could do anything about your work situation. I told him I'd try. He watched the recordings from our house and wants me to be more direct. He thinks we're not the same without you there." I interrupted. "So they believe my work excuse and he wants you to try harder to seduce me?" "Exactly. We should be fine this week as we make our plans." Back at my house, Helena went inside and turned off the security system using the circuit breaker. She called me to check the cameras were off. We then loaded both cars with my things. We moved these to the storage unit. Helena picked up the kids and got home before their dad did. So when the kids talked to their mom, they'd say everything was normal. Helena turned the security system back on before Pierre would even notice. After the kids went to bed, Helena danced for me. She hoped it would lead to more, but I had my belt tight so she couldn't easily pull my pants down. I chuckled and sent her away, loudly declaring my love for my wife on camera. This was all to frustrate Chelsea and Pierre. On Wednesday and Thursday, I moved my things into storage or the new apartment. On Friday, we moved most of the kids' small stuff to the apartment. We left their favorite items at the house so they wouldn't ask too many questions. When they did ask, we said we had cleaned their room. Chelsea called every evening at 7. I always put the kids on the phone so she couldn't talk to me. I was sure it annoyed her, but I didn't care. Every night, Helena pretended to fail at seducing me. On Thursday night, I acted angry and called her names, but it was all planned. We moved enough dishes and cookware to the apartment for our needs. On Friday morning, I rented a truck to move the kids' main furniture and put the washer and dryer into storage. I called the utility companies to disconnect the gas, electric, water, and internet. My brother-in-law Darren was a volunteer firefighter. I arranged for the fire department to use my house for training. They would do a controlled burn and watch over it. I agreed easily. Chelsea's car and a sports car were parked side by side in the garage with their windows down. I grabbed a 5-gallon can of gasoline and poured some on both cars, then spread the rest around the house. When Darren gave me the signal, I lit a match and set everything on fire. I was amazed at how fast the house fell apart. The only exciting part was when the gas tanks in the cars exploded, but the fire department handled it well. I had to get a permit to tear down the house and get rid of the debris. This included proving the house had no mortgage. The officials were surprised by my plan, but I explained I wanted to build a better energy-saving home, which matched their environment rules. In less than 4 hours, the $1,375,000 property was worth nothing. By 9 p.m., the fire department confirmed there were no more embers. The demolition team said they'd clear the lot by Sunday night. I had to pay them up front with my own money. Some people might think I was crazy for burning my house and car. They'd say I could have just sold them and bought new ones. But to me, that money felt dirty. If a stranger handed me a $20 bill and said it was for something bad, I'd throw it back in his face. That's how I felt about the money from the house and car. I know not everyone sees things the way I do, but that's just who I am. I thought my kids would resist moving to a new 3-bedroom apartment, but they saw it as a fun adventure. I gave the master bedroom to my daughters, and they loved having their own space. Neil got the smallest room, but it was enough for him. I took the middle-sized room with some old furniture and a new bed. I told my parents and sister about the move, but kept it a secret from Chelsea's parents for now. Helena was happy that after we moved in, no more fake setups would happen. On Friday and Saturday nights, I slept on the couch and convinced Helena to sleep in my room. It didn't bother me that she used the bed before I did. She wanted to sleep on the couch, but I insisted. The kids were happy with her there, and so was I. I turned off my phone both nights to keep Chelsea from finding out about our new place. The kids didn't know what happened to the old house anyway. Helena told me Friday night that she had arranged a news conference in Hollywood on Sunday at noon. We would fly there and back in one day using her frequent flyer miles. This time, I would be ready to give a speech. My parents agreed to stay with the kids on Sunday. Pierre called Helena on Saturday, asking why the security system at my old house was offline. She pretended not to know, saying she couldn't ask me about it without revealing Pierre's spying. She also said she had failed again in trying to get close to me. Chelsea was with Pierre during the call. Pierre suggested maybe hiring someone else might work, but Chelsea said I wouldn't go for that, and Helena just needed more time. Pierre was frustrated that I wasn't giving in. He told Helena to record any future attempts on her phone. Helena agreed to try. Pierre then talked about my work schedule. Helena said she was in touch with Greg, my boss. Greg hoped some of the sick employees would return on Monday, but it wasn't certain. She said she'd arrange my ticket to France once my boss let me go. She lied to Pierre, saying she hated taking care of my kids, trying to convince him she didn't want to be here. Pierre said he understood, and that he disliked kids too. Pierre regretted not bringing me with him earlier. Then he gave her a bonus of 300,000 euros and promised 700,000 more if she got a clear video of us together. Helena told me everything, so I trusted her. I wanted to confront Pierre and Chelsea, but thought the best way was through our planned press announcement. So I avoided Chelsea one last time, keeping my phone off to make sure the kids didn't tell her about our new place. I didn't care if it upset her. Pierre called Helena, and she acted like she didn't know what was going on with my phone. He then pushed her to do whatever it took to get me to France next week. My parents arrived at the apartment at 7 a.m. to look after the kids. Helena and I headed to the airport to fly to California. We got to Hollywood 2 hours before our noon press conference. We took our time to get ready and make sure everything was set. At noon, we saw only a few entertainment reporters had shown up, way less than Pierre's press conference. Maybe noon wasn't the best time. No matter. Once the story went out, it would quickly make the news in France and elsewhere. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paul Blaylock. I just found out I'm the identical twin brother of French actor Pierre Dumont. I'm here today for a sad reason. Pierre Dumont has seduced my wife in my own home. He and my wife have betrayed me in the worst way. I will divorce my wife, Chelsea Blaylock, as soon as I can. Because of what they've done, I will cut all ties with Pierre Dumont forever. He is dead to me. Some people laughed as one of the reporters stepped forward. Surely you're joking, Paul. Everyone knows Pierre gave you a very expensive French sports car and also paid off your home mortgage, which was over $1 million. If he meant to hurt you, why would he do that? I'm glad you asked. He said it was to make up for his involvement with my wife, but those gifts didn't last long. Didn't last long? Another reporter asked. What do you mean? On Friday 2 days ago, my house burned down and the new sports car, which I had never driven, was in the garage. Everything is lost. A woman chuckled. Even if we believed your story, your insurance would cover the loss. Maybe it's not as bad as you say. I understand your thinking. Let me explain. When Mr. Dumont paid off the mortgage, homeowner's insurance was no longer required. I canceled it, thinking I had time to get a better deal. Same thing for the car. No insurance. Both are a total loss. I haven't gained a cent from Mr. Dumont. His gifts are gone. I also lost my own down payment of $100,000 on the house. The loss is much bigger than Mr. Dumont's contribution. After the fire, nothing was left. Some reporters smirked. This is too hard to believe. Are you trying to get more money from Mr. Dumont after his act of kindness? Is that what this is really about? I looked firmly at the person who asked and answered, I don't want a single penny from Mr. Dumont, ever. I want him to keep everything of his far away from me, including my wife. He can have her as a parting gift. If I get my wish, I will never see either of them again. Mr. Dumont has brought only pain and destruction to my family. My children will come from a broken home now because of his betrayal. This box contains memory chips with unedited video of their affairs in my home before it burned down. Please take one before you leave. My wife is with Mr. Dumont in France, and they have been there together without me or her 3 children for over a week. Check your sources. You'll see I'm telling the truth. I'm sure there must be photos of him with a new woman. That woman is my wife, Chelsea Blaylock. I hope she never returns to the USA. If what you say is true, sir, what are you and your children doing now for a place to stay? We have moved to a small 3-bedroom apartment for now. I will soon be a single dad, and we are adjusting to life without her. Silence fell over the group. They were starting to believe what I was saying. It wouldn't take much for them to confirm. Then stories would be written and shared online, eventually reaching France. Hopefully, it would hurt his reputation and career. In the celebrity world, image is everything. I knew this would hit me too. I was ready for it. After the press conference, Helena and I went to a restaurant for lunch. During the meal, Helena finally spoke up. Paul, even though you've suggested I should disappear for a while, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. I have grown very close to your children and loved taking care of them. They love you too, Helena. You're more than a babysitter to them. That's why they call you Aunt Helena. Your family. She started crying. It's not just the children that I will miss, Paul, as she put her hand on mine. By the way, I'd like you to sign this paper before we part ways, she asked. What is this? I asked. It's something that could protect us when Pierre comes after us. Trust me, Paul. I trust you. It's because of how he treated you that I am cutting all ties with him. I signed it without reading it. Then I asked her, Are you sure you want to leave Pierre's job forever? I'm the only one going to be quoted from the press conference. I'm sure my picture was taken when I stood by you. Not only that, Pierre will know I arranged the press conference. You couldn't have done it alone, and Pierre always says that revenge is a dish best served over and over again. He'll come after us both. I can hide, but you can't with your children. Do you trust me enough to tell me where you'll be going, Helena? Paul, I'd trust you with my life. You're the bravest and most honest man I've ever met. I have an old college friend who now works at the French honorary consulate in Georgetown, Cayman Islands. He and I are very close. Pierre doesn't know him. My friend and I have stayed in touch over the years. I'll be safe with him until... Paul, when this all calms down, trust me, we'll meet again. I get it. Your safety is what matters most. I don't know what Pierre might do to me after I exposed him, but I know he'll be angry. Take my prepaid phone with you. I have your number memorized. If he finds my phone, it won't lead him to you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you, Helena. I leaned in and gave her a deep kiss. It felt real, and she kissed me back. We shared a taxi to the airport and parted ways after another long kiss. I got home in time for dinner. Mom's cooking was just like I remembered. I felt a sense of relief, but I knew trouble was coming. I wondered when the news would spread in French society. When Chelsea called, she seemed unaware. I decided to talk to her this time. I put my phone on speaker and used a recorder to tape both sides of our talk. Hello, Chelsea. How's Paris? Oh, Paul, we've been so worried about you. It seems like you've been avoiding us. Can you tell me why? I know everything, Chelsea. That's why. What are you talking about? What do you think you know, Paul? Do you really want me to spell it out, Chelsea? Yes, Paul. What's going on? Okay, you asked for it. I know you were with my twin brother before you left for Paris with him. I know you were with him in our bedroom. I saw what you did with him. How? How can you say these things? They're not true. Liar! I have the video recordings from our house before you left. Remember the security system Pierre installed without asking me? It recorded everything you two did. I've seen it all, Chelsea, and there's no coming back from it. Chelsea started crying when she realized I knew. I'm sorry, Paul. I'm so sorry. I didn't plan to fall for Pierre. It just happened. It's like he's you, but better in every way. And as much as I love you, how could I not fall for him? What about the kids? Have you thought about what will happen to them because of this? Pierre is not comfortable around children. I tried, but he won't accept them. He said you'd take good care of them. I have to tell you, Paul, I'm taking a break from our marriage. Pierre has a few scenes to film in a movie, then we'll travel while you cool down. I promise I'll come back soon. There is no home to come back to. Our house, the one he paid for, burned down along with his fancy blue car. Everything is lost. Insurance won't cover it, so all your stuff is gone. Make new memories with him, Chelsea, because your old ones are gone. Did you say our home burned down, and his expensive car? Why won't insurance cover it? I don't understand, Paul. What's happening? Do you know what I find interesting about your reaction, Chelsea? You didn't ask if our kids were hurt or if I was hurt trying to save them. How telling. No! Was anyone hurt? I assumed you'd have led with that if anyone was injured. No one was hurt. The only other thing that died was our marriage. It's over. Let me know if you plan to return here, and I'll have divorce papers served to you at the airport. Oh, there's no way Pierre will let you divorce me, Paul. You have to stop this. This affair is temporary. Pierre won't keep me forever, but I plan to stay with him as long as he wants. He also said you were with Helena. If he said that, he lied to you, Chelsea. Helena and I have never been close in that way. If he says otherwise, ask for proof. It doesn't exist. He's a liar. Hang on to him, Chelsea. He's a real gem. Pierre has no say in our marriage, and neither do you. I'm filing tomorrow for abandonment and full custody of the kids. Have a good life, Chelsea. The kids and I will do just fine without you. You have no husband, no children, and I have no brother. You can do whatever you like. Don't call again, Chelsea. We're done. I hung up and turned off my phone. I made a note to change my number. I knew once Pierre found out, he'd try to reach Helena quickly. He wouldn't be able to, and it would make him mad. He might send someone to find out what happened or come back himself to fix things. No one could call me on my personal phone since I changed the number first thing on Monday. But that didn't stop Pierre from finding me at work. I got an urgent call. Paul, my brother, what have you done? You have to take it back. Take it back before it's too late, Pierre pleaded. I'm sorry, Mr. Dumont. I can't do that. But why? You burned your house, messed up your family, and tried to ruin my name? All for what? A girl? I paid you well for her. You should be thankful instead of trying to destroy me. Maybe that's all she is to you, Mr. Dumont. A girl, nothing more. But she was everything to me, and you took that away. I'm just paying you back. You're a dreamer, Paul. That's all you'll ever be. Thanks for the nice words, Mr. Dumont. If that's all, I need to get back to work. Don't call me here again or I'll block you. The days are over when you can treat people badly and still expect them to be loyal. Goodbye, Mr. Dumont. I hung up. Then I asked the company to stop accepting his calls. Whenever I had a few minutes, I looked online for news about my press conference. It seems that videos of blurred-out bits were showing up on Instagram and other social media. At first, Pierre said it wasn't him. He claimed I was pretending to be him, but his French accent and voice were easy to recognize. There were also many paparazzi photos of him and Chelsea together in the clubs before the news event. Now these photos were being shared again as proof of my story. Entertainment journalists tried to talk to her, asking why she was cheating on her husband and leaving her kids behind. Pierre told her to ignore the questions and was mad that social media was working against him after being his ally for years. Even though he finished the movie scenes he was working on, the producers said they would replace him with someone less controversial. Now they were harassed by the press everywhere they went. The famous French TV star was now seen as a bad guy. Soon, other victims of Pierre started coming forward with stories just like mine. So many that Pierre felt like he was being attacked by little fish. In just 2 weeks, all his contracts were put on hold. He still had money, but no new deals were coming in. Instead of asking for his autograph, people spat at him. This was his worst nightmare. He couldn't believe that my one voice could bring him down from his high place. Chelsea even started to complain about how he treated her roughly. She did her best to calm him, but nothing worked. Finally, Pierre had had enough. His PR team couldn't repair his image. It was clear he was hated in the industry, and it would take a long time before he worked again, if ever. In pain, he had to replace Helena because he couldn't find or reach her. He knew I had something to do with her sudden disappearance. He wanted to hurt me more than I had hurt him. Pierre sent his people to New Directions, Inc., the place where I worked. They secretly met with the board and bought the company for $20 million through another company. This gave each of the 4 partners $5 million. The only change was firing me and putting in a new CEO, Brad Preston, who worked for Pierre. I was told that because of the sale, my job was eliminated. Greg said he hated to let me go, but he had to follow the deal terms or lose his share. No one other than Brad knew Pierre was the real buyer. Brad had clear orders from Pierre. He told the phone staff to send any calls about me directly to him. Failing to do so would get them fired. He also looked in my work file and added a note saying I had inappropriate contact with female patients, though none were named. It was false, but it was Pierre's way to ruin my reputation. No one but Brad and Pierre knew about this. Brad also watched me secretly, hoping to find Helena through me. Pierre next hired a hacker. This hacker was very good. He was paid big money to find all my financial assets and move them offshore where I couldn't reach them. This was easy for him. Every penny I had suddenly disappeared. All my bank accounts had been emptied and closed. My retirement savings were gone, and my investments sold with the money missing. Everything I owned was taken, but I still had all my bills to pay with no money coming in. At the same time, Pierre was done with Chelsea. Even though she was fun for him, he missed other women he could have been with. He was also upset he couldn't upset his brother back in France. That was his biggest regret. Now, being seen with Chelsea was bad for his image. He told her it was her husband's fault things didn't work out and sent her back to the U.S. Chelsea only got to keep the gifts he gave her. When she got back to her hometown, she came to see me. Pierre had given her my new address. She rang the doorbell. "Hi, Paul, it's good to see you. Can I come in?" she asked hopefully. I stepped out and closed the door behind me. "Why are you here, Chelsea? You've been gone for over 3 months. Did the jerk you left with get tired of you?" "Please, Paul. I don't want to fight. I want to see my kids. And if you can forgive me, I'd like to try to fix our marriage," she pleaded. "It's not a good time to see the kids, Chelsea. You should have called first. As for our marriage, I filed for divorce after you left. There's no way I'll stay married to you. Why do you even want to try?" "Paul, I thought I wanted a life of fame and money, and I thought I had to choose between you and that life. But none of it means anything without you," she said. "They say hindsight is 20/20ths, Chelsea. You betrayed me in our marriage. You left our kids and stayed with that jerk in France for 3 months. Actions have consequences, and your actions cost you our home, our marriage, and our kids as far as I'm concerned. If the court orders me to let you see the kids, then I will. But until then, you need to leave and not come back. Can't I stay with you and the kids? I'll cook and clean, she offered. We don't need you anymore, Chelsea. You're no longer important to me or the kids. She hesitated and sniffed, but went on. I'm pregnant, Paul. You're going to be a father again. That's impossible. You've been away for 3 months. How can it be mine? The DNA test will show it's yours, she said. No, it won't. It will show that jerk Pierre is the father. We haven't been together since before you left. You can't abandon your child, Paul. Even if there's a chance it's yours. Can I please stay with you and the kids? No, you can't stay here. Didn't you hear anything I said? But where will I go? How will I live? She pleaded. Our home is gone. That's not my problem, Chelsea. Try your parents. They're still around. If you don't have a phone, I can call them for you. Nothing of yours is here. Whatever you do next, it won't involve me. But I have your clothes and other things we packed for France. It's all here, she said. Burn them, sell them, give them away. I don't want any of it. If you leave anything here, I'll throw it away. Just go, Chelsea. She started crying and shaking as my words hit her hard. I went back inside my apartment. Her parents showed up 20 minutes later and took her away. I didn't tell her I lost my job. I didn't want to give her anything to use against me. My friends and family were shocked by my bad luck. I lost my house, a nice car, my job, and then found out all my money was gone from my accounts. The next day I got a letter saying I was being investigated for bad behavior at my last job. If found guilty, I might lose my professional credentials and have to find a new career. I couldn't imagine things getting worse. I knew Pierre was behind this, but I couldn't prove it, and even if I could, it wouldn't change anything. It seemed like Pierre was winning after all. Looking back, I wondered if I would have done anything differently with what I know now. The only thing would have been to close my accounts and hide my money to get through these tough times. It felt like all my bills and expenses were hitting me all at once. I went to my bank and talked for a long time. They said that I moved all my money myself. They wouldn't give me my money back unless I proved I didn't. I was lost. My parents didn't have space for us or money to take care of us. I could stay with my sister for a bit, but I didn't want to ruin our bond. I had good job interviews at 4 places, but they all said no. Why was my life falling apart? Chelsea had sold most of the jewelry Pierre gave her to hire a lawyer. The lawyer would help her with the divorce and make sure she could still see the kids. She had to give the lawyer $9,000 out of the $10,000 she got. She gave me papers to meet in 3 days to figure out the kids' custody before going to court. I didn't want to argue with her, but I had to follow the legal process. The meeting went as I thought. The person in charge knew a lot about these talks. Chelsea wanted full custody, and so did I. We couldn't agree on anything. She seemed scared and restless. The person in charge didn't care that she left her family for my brother, but it mattered to me. Since we couldn't agree, we had to meet again in 2 weeks to think more about what's best for the kids. A week later, I got a call from the local jail. I accepted the call, and to my surprise, it was Chelsea. Paul, I'm sorry to call you like this, but I have no one else. The police helped me reach you. I only have 2 minutes. Can you come to the police station right now? I wouldn't ask if it wasn't very important. Please, I have no one else. I sighed deeply and wondered what was going on this time. But she was crying. Let me call Anita to watch the kids, and I'll see what I can do, I said. When I got to the station, Chelsea looked very upset. We both picked up the phone on our side of the glass. You look terrible, Chelsea. What's going on? Thank you for coming, Paul. Your kindness is one of the things I always loved about you. Why are you in here? Why were you arrested? Paul, I tried to fix this problem before it got me, but I failed. I guess I lost. Lost what, Chelsea? When you talked to me before everything fell apart, I lost it. You were right about Pierre. He's awful, but I was blinded by his wealth. When you told me I had no husband, home, or kids, I almost went crazy. Pierre gave me Xanax to calm me down. Later, he gave me oxycodone. I took more and more of it. It made me feel good, but I needed more each time to feel okay. She continued, After 6 weeks, I was addicted. I shook if I didn't have my pills. When my pills ran out, I got desperate. I found a source, but with no money. I ended up doing shameful things to get the drugs. Tonight, I got caught trying to sell myself and was arrested. Bail is only $250, but I have no money. If I call my parents, they'll kick me out. Don't let that happen to the mother of your kids, she cried. Even though I disliked what she'd done, I still felt for her. But I had no money either. How could I help her? Chelsea, I'm broke too. Pierre got me fired and stole all my money. The only way I can raise $250 is by getting a loan on my car. It'll take a couple of days, but I need you to agree now that I get primary custody of the kids, and you can see them every other weekend. Agree or I won't help. Every other weekend? Can't you give me better terms? Never mind then. Good luck, Chelsea. I started to leave. Okay, every other weekend. I agree. I won't go back on my word this time. I sighed with relief. All right, Chelsea. Call your parents and tell them you might be away for a couple of days. I will, Paul. Thank you. I still love you, you know, she said. I said nothing, stood up and walked out of the jail. I felt terrible, but I had just met someone in an even worse situation. The next day, my parents took my kids camping at the beach for the holiday weekend. They wanted to give me some time to think about my life without worrying about the kids or about them seeing Chelsea. I decided not to tell my parents about Chelsea just yet. I didn't want any rumors reaching the kids before everything was sorted out. It was summer, and there was a big July 4th celebration in the town center that night. I went there hoping to see some friendly faces and maybe grab a free hot dog. Times were tough. There was a stage with a local band playing, and about 2,000 people were there. I stood about 200 feet from the stage when two big, well-dressed men got on stage, took the microphone, and started talking. One of them was holding an aluminum bat. "Hey! Hello, everyone! Are you having a good time tonight?" one of the men shouted. The crowd cheered and clapped. "Sorry to interrupt the fun, but we're looking for Paul Blaylock. Can anyone tell us where he is tonight? Someone said he might be here." Someone in the crowd shouted, "What do you want him for?" "We need to teach him a lesson for abusing his job as an occupational therapist and hurting a lot of women. One of them is my sister. Can anyone help us out? We'd really appreciate it." The man with the bat scanned the crowd while his partner spoke. Suddenly, he saw me, and they started moving towards me. No one in the crowd spoke up for me. I felt a cold fear wash over me and couldn't move. As they pushed through the crowd and got closer, something unexpected happened. An 8-year-old girl in a wheelchair rolled up between me and the men. The whole crowd went silent as she spoke. "Misters, I got hurt in a car wreck and am disabled. Mr. Blaylock showed me more patience and kindness than anyone I've ever met. He helped me when no one else could. He's the nicest man anyone could hope to meet. He's my friend, and if you want to get to him, you'll have to get through me first." In a crowd of 2,000 people, you could hear a pin drop. The men started to push her out of the way when a strong woman jumped in front of her. "Guys, if you think you can touch my daughter, think again. You'll have to get through me first. If you raise a finger towards her, you'll regret it." A man pushed through the crowd to stand by the woman. "This is my wife and daughter. If you even think about touching either one, I will make sure you regret it." The men grinned, thinking they could handle him and move past the women. Suddenly, 5 strong men stepped forward to stand by the family. One of them spoke, "This man is our boss, a great building contractor. You won't touch him as long as we stand here." Then their 5 wives stepped forward, and soon the whole crowd stood in defiance. All because of one brave little girl who spoke up. Greg, standing near the mayor on the stage, leaned in to speak quietly. "My name is Greg Dixon from New Directions, Inc. I hired Paul straight out of college and have known him for years. I've never heard a single complaint about him. In fact, he has received high praise from everyone he worked with. He was unfairly fired and has 3 kids to support. This isn't right." The mayor nodded and took the microphone. "Hello, everyone. I'm Grant Maston, your mayor." The crowd turned to listen. "I'd like to ask a question. Has anyone here ever been mistreated by Paul Blaylock or experienced any inappropriate behavior from him?" Silence filled the crowd. Let me rephrase that. Does anyone even know of someone who has been mistreated by Paul? Finally, a woman raised her hand. "My mother broke her hip last year. Mr. Blaylock helped her recover and was incredibly kind. If you ask me, the man is a saint. He never did anything wrong." One by one, people began to share their positive experiences about Paul, praising his kindness and good work. The mayor interrupted, "That's what I thought. This man is one of us, and he's been unjustly targeted by a wealthy, spiteful person who wanted revenge because this man spoke the truth when the rich man spoiled his own wife and ruined his life. You've all likely heard the stories and rumors. In this town, as long as I'm mayor, we take care of one another. I understand he lost his job for no good reason. Probably more trouble caused by the same person. Is there anyone here who can offer this man a decent job until he gets back on his feet? Hands started going up all over the crowd. In less than 30 seconds, over 100 people had raised their hands. Officers, the mayor continued, please hold these men until Mr. Blaylock has a chance to leave safely. Also, collect their names and IDs in case anything else happens involving them. Additionally, it would be wise for the department to schedule random patrols by Mr. Blaylock's home to ensure a quick response if needed. Mr. Blaylock, if you didn't know it before, you can see now that your town cares about you. You're a good man. These men won't go anywhere until you're safe. Thank you for being such a good citizen. Tears streamed down my face. I was overwhelmed with emotion by all the kind words and support. I didn't know people thought so highly of me until tonight. I thanked everyone there for their kindness, and the crowd parted like the Red Sea to let me pass. I didn't want to go back to my empty apartment, so I drove to the nearby lake. I thought it would offer a spectacular view of the fireworks, especially with their reflections on the water. I was a poor, broken man, sitting alone by the lakeshore, crying about my situation. I didn't have any money, and even though I had barely avoided trouble tonight, I would soon be homeless and might lose my children unless a good job came through. As I sat there, something was poking me uncomfortably. Thinking it was a small rock, I picked it up ready to throw it away, but it wasn't a rock. It looked like a very expensive diamond ring. After finding the ring, I drove to the town's largest jewelry store, which was open until 9 p.m. When I asked about its value, the manager recognized it immediately. He went to the back to make a call and returned shortly after. This is your lucky day, my friend. A wealthy client had this ring made specifically for him. He has since decided to give it away, so he said, finders keepers. He paid us $250,000 to have it made. Its value is around $175,000. Right now, I can offer you $150,000 for it. That's my top offer. I couldn't believe my luck. I'll take it. How much cash do you have in the store right now? I asked. Let me check, he said. After counting the register, he announced, just over $1,200. All right, I'll take the $1,200 in cash and a check for $148,800. Deal? The jeweler smiled and responded, Deal, and we shook hands. Feeling better, I went to bail out Chelsea from jail with $250, put her in a taxi, and paid her fare to her parents' home. She thanked me for being a good man. Then I went to the grocery store to restock my empty apartment. As I was carrying the first 2 bags from my car, everything went black. I woke up slowly in what seemed to be a hospital room, looking up at a smiling face. I whispered, Have I died and gone to heaven? Paul, are you awake? My eyes rolled as I tried to focus. Somebody get the doctor, she yelled. I think he's waking up. The doctor soon arrived and checked me thoroughly, shining lights in my eyes and rechecking my vitals. 15 minutes later, he seemed relieved. I'm Dr. Houseman. You gave us quite a scare, Mr. Blaylock. How are you feeling? Like I got run over by a dump truck, I replied. My head is killing me. That's understandable, Mr. Blaylock. You've been in a medically induced coma for 3 days. We stopped the drugs 4 hours ago. You've had severe head trauma, causing swelling in your brain. Several experts have worked hard to help you. What? But how? I asked, confused. Your friend Helena is here. She was there when it happened. She can explain how you got here. We're glad you're doing better now, but you still need to stay here for a few more days to ensure the swelling stays down. I knew I was still groggy, but wife. Thank you, doctor, Helena said. I'll let you know if any problems come up. The doctor nodded and left. I looked at the kind face hovering over me. It lifted my spirits. Did I miss something? When did you become my wife? I told them you were my husband so they would let me stay with you, she explained. But I don't have any. When I lost my job, they said my insurance payments would be $3,000 a month with Cobra. I couldn't pay that with no money coming in, so I said no to Cobra. I understand, Paul. I guessed something like this might happen. I have a company I started years ago. It's a consulting company. I used to handle all payments for Pierre when I worked for him. Do you remember signing that paper for me at the airport? I think so. Why? It was a work agreement making you a new consultant for my company. This means you got included in my company's health insurance. It was just in case something like this happened to you. I know Pierre well. I hoped he wouldn't do this to you, but I'm not surprised. I don't know what to say, Helena. You are so kind and amazing. Honestly, I wish I had married you instead of Chelsea, but I didn't know you back then. As she smiled at me, her eyes filled with tears. My kids! Are they okay? Yes, Paul. Your mom, dad, and sister have been helping me take care of them. They are fine, don't worry. I've been at your place looking after Amber, Neil, and Rhonda when I'm not here. They miss you but know you're hurt and in the hospital. You must be wondering how you got here. There's a lot you don't know, and I'll try to explain. But first, watch this video from the night you were attacked. The video showed a dimly lit street. I was walking to my apartment with grocery bags when someone hit me hard from behind with a baseball bat. I fell to the ground. Two men stood over me, pleased with what they did. One raised the bat to hit me again. Suddenly, someone rushed in. A man blocked the bat, stopping it from hitting me again. He stood ready to fight the two men. It was Gerald. I couldn't believe it. The man with the bat swung at Gerald. Gerald ducked and hit him hard in the throat. The man dropped the bat and fell, clutching his throat in pain. Gerald spoke briefly to the other man, but I couldn't hear what he said. The second man raised his hands in surrender. Gerald called the police, who arrived in under 2 minutes. Gerald bent down over the injured man for a few seconds, then the video ended. When did you and Gerald get here? Doesn't he still work for Pierre? Why did he help me? And why was there no sound in the video? I'll try to explain, Paul. After I was hired by Pierre, Gerald and I dated for a while. He knew Pierre made me see other men, and he saw other women while we were together. We stopped dating after 6 months, but stayed good friends and looked out for each other. I gave him my new phone number. Gerald called me and said Pierre wanted him to hire men to kill you for talking bad about him. Gerald couldn't do it and quit working for Pierre. He came here to protect me and you. I told him I was coming to watch over you, and he insisted on coming to protect me too. He stands guard outside your hospital room now. She continued. I turned off the sound on my phone. We needed to show the police proof of Gerald defending you, but not his conversation. After hitting the man with the bat, Gerald told the other guy that his friend was dying and he couldn't help him. He scared the guy into confessing to the police about their plan with Pierre to hurt you. Gerald told him that even if he went to jail, his friends there would finish the job. It worked. The guy confessed. Gerald then used a pen and a knife to save the man's life with a quick tracheotomy. I was stunned by everything she said. Why are you here, Helena? Why risk your safety for nothing? And what about your boyfriend? Helena smiled, lighting up the room. She looked almost angelic. I had never seen this side of her. It's not for nothing, Paul. If you ask me to go after this, I will. Henry Reynard is a man I was close to in college. Until recently, he was my best friend. He's as good-looking as anyone can be, and all the girls in school had a crush on him, including me. But there was one problem. He's gay. What drew me to him was his honesty, kind heart, and the way he loved. Until recently, I had never seen anyone love so deeply like he loved his boyfriend. When I asked if I could stay with him in Georgetown until things calmed down with Pierre, he immediately asked how soon I could get there and promised me safety for as long as I needed. He's a great friend. She continued, while I was staying with him and his husband, Franco, Henri helped me understand love. True love is something I had never felt. My parents went through a bitter divorce when I was 7. They used me to hurt each other. I felt caught in the middle and believed it was my fault. This made me lose faith in marriage and happy endings. I closed off my heart to everyone except Henri, and I didn't meet him until college. I had many dates, but they meant nothing to me. I used men like they used me. My life lacked happiness and love. To me, love was just about physical need. I'm so sorry you went through that as a child, Helena. Your parents should have protected you, not used you against each other. It wasn't your fault. I know that now, Paul, but I didn't then. The love between Henry and Franco was so strong that I could almost feel it. I wanted that kind of love in my life, but my heart was closed. I didn't know how to love. He tried to explain it to me, but I couldn't understand. I thought love was just about duty. He explained that love is a gift, not an obligation. I asked him how he knew he loved Franco. His answer surprised me. He said love is invisible, but Franco made the invisible visible. When they look at each other, so much is said with just one look. I still didn't get it until Franco suggested something. She went on. He rented the Blu-ray of the movie musical Moulin Rouge. Being French, I knew the history of the place, but had never seen the movie with Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor. They have a great home theater system, and the three of us watched the movie that night. Franco said if I didn't understand love after watching it, there was little hope for me. Paul, it changed my life. Yes, the story was cheesy and dramatic, but it was full of love from start to finish. A quote from the movie stuck with me. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is to love and be loved in return. It was like the movie was made to teach me about love. I was crying by the end, and my heart was fully open. When they sang Come What May, I had never felt a better description of love. Those words made the invisible visible for me. If I tried to sing it now, I'd start crying before I finished. Then Henri said something that completed my lesson. He said, Helena, you will never know love unless you surrender to it. My heart melted right then and there with one big realization. Tears streamed down her face as she smiled through them. Helena took my hand and looked me straight in the eye and said, I love you, Paul. I love you. I haven't said those words to anyone since I was 7. Until you, no other man was worthy of them. When I first met you, I thought you were just like Pierre. I knew how bad he was, and gave him what he wanted. I was well paid for it. I thought you were the same and saw you as him. I was wrong. You have a pure heart. You live by the idea of treating others well. I'd never met anyone who put others before themselves. I've seen you with those 3 sweet children. I've seen how you've always been good to me. Paul, you make the invisible visible. I now see and feel the love coming from you. Helena laid her head on my chest and cried happy tears. I was deeply moved. No one, not even Chelsea, had ever shown me such love before. Suddenly I felt warmth in my soul that I had missed for a long time. The light of love was shining again. I took her hand and without hesitation said, Helena, you are more than I could ever hope for and more than I deserve. When my divorce from Chelsea is granted, will you marry me? She hugged me so tight I thought my eyes would pop. Yes! Yes! 1,000 times, yes! She shouted. I need you to understand from now that I don't share. You'd have to be only with me for the rest of your life, I told her before I kissed her. Honey, I wouldn't want it any other way. I'll be with only one man for the rest of my life. You will never have to doubt me. I'll hardly let you out of my sight. When I was able to go home, Helena stayed with me to help out. Gerald said his goodbyes and went to places unknown. I thanked him and offered him some money for his help. He just laughed and said I couldn't afford him. At the next meeting about the divorce, Chelsea and I signed the papers that set the terms of our custody agreement. The attorney said he would get the order confirmed by a judge as soon as possible, ending our meeting for the day. Feeling hopeful, he set another meeting in 2 weeks to settle our differences in the divorce. We left together, and I asked her to join me for coffee to discuss a proposal. Once we had our coffee and donuts, I started, So, how have you been since your time in jail, Chelsea? I'm not going to lie. It hasn't been easy. I'm working hard to resist my urges, but sometimes I still go to my dealer and do things for a few pills. It's tough, and I'm not sure how long I can keep doing it. What if I offered you a way out, Chelsea? Would you take it? It depends on what it is and what it costs me, she replied. You and I are going to be divorced anyway. Stalling it will just make it longer and more expensive for both of us. So I have a proposal. I'm listening, she said. No Looking Back is a drug rehab place on the edge of town. It's a good one, and they have a program that lasts 4 months and costs $20,000. The kid's custody is already decided, and we don't have money to split. If we did, I'd give you half. I used what I could to take care of the kids. If you agree to sign the divorce papers without fighting, I'll pay for your rehab and give you a fresh start. Plus, if you stay for the whole 4 months and come out clean, I'll give you another $10,000 when you get out. What do you say? You're going to marry Helena, aren't you? If she'll have me, yes. I thought so. So there's no chance for us? I'm sorry, Chelsea, no. She looked thoughtful for a long time without speaking. I watched her think it over. One condition, Paul. I'll agree to sign the papers and let you marry Helena if you give me one thing before we go our separate ways today." "What is it?" "A kiss," she said. "One last kiss as husband and wife. I need that for closure. It will mean we're parting on good terms. If you can do that, I'll give you what you want." I looked into her eyes and saw a longing I hadn't seen in years. I thought about it. We're still married, and I can't marry Helena until our divorce is final. A kiss now would make things move faster. But I also thought about her past actions and the people she might have been with. It wasn't a pleasant thought. "I'll tell you what I'll do, Chelsea. When Helena and I pick you up from rehab and give you the $10,000, I'll give you that kiss then. Deal?" She thought for a second, smiled, and said, "Deal." We shook hands. I knew the rehab would test for any diseases, so she would be clean when released. I'd explain it to Helena so she wouldn't feel threatened. Chelsea signed the divorce papers, making the divorce final in just under 8 months. In North Carolina, it takes at least a year to divorce, longer if someone fights it. Helena and I took the kids out to eat to celebrate the signing of the divorce papers. We didn't tell the kids why, but Helena and I were happy. The next day, we went looking for a house to rent so Helena wouldn't have to sleep on the couch anymore. We moved in less than a week. Chelsea set up her admission to the rehab center, and I drove her there and paid the fee in cash. On Friday afternoon, after dropping Chelsea off, I called her parents to let them know she was checked into the facility and asked if they wanted to have the kids for the weekend. They were happy to help and said they'd come over in 45 minutes. I told them we'd pick the kids up on Sunday afternoon. Helena gave me a puzzled look once the kids were gone for the weekend. "Honey, the papers are signed. As far as I'm concerned, Chelsea and I are already divorced. Waiting for the official papers is just a formality." She smiled knowingly. "Well, it's about time." And then she hugged me, and we ended up in the bedroom, leaving our clothes scattered from the front door. We made love 4 times that night before finally falling asleep in each other's arms. I can't picture 2 people who fit together better than us. She had been with someone who looked just like me before, but she said it wasn't the same. She told me being close with me was the best feeling ever. She didn't know it could be like this. We whispered vows in the dark, saying, "To have and to hold from now on." We didn't bother wearing clothes all weekend until we picked up the kids. We had separate bedrooms for the kids' sake until we got married, but whenever they were away, we made the most of it. 4 months later, I kept my promise and drove with Helena to the no-looking-back rehab and halfway house. Helena stood by the car holding an envelope with a lot of money. I took Chelsea by the hand as she waddled to our car and hugged her tight. She looked very pregnant and was smiling big as I gave her a warm, passionate kiss. Helena playfully fanned us with the envelope as if it was too hot. When we stopped kissing, Chelsea laughed and Helena handed her the envelope. "I owe you a big apology, Paul. The therapists and counselors here are good. I learned a lot about myself and I didn't like what I saw. You saved my life, and I will always be grateful. Helena, Paul is the best man I've ever known. Take good care of him, and he will love and honor you all his life. Don't make the same mistake I did. You know the saying, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush? Paul is that bird. Never let him go." Helena hugged Chelsea and thanked her for the advice. We drove Chelsea to her parents' house. She told us she would use the money to get an apartment. The rehab center had found her a secretarial job starting the next day. She also said that having the baby would remind her of her past mistakes, so she decided to give the baby up for adoption. Once the divorce papers came in the mail, Helena started planning our wedding. We had a big wedding in a large church in France. It had a pipe organ. I thought it was too much, but it was Helena's first wedding, and she wanted the full experience. Her mother invited many important people from the consulate. She was surprised to see her usually distant daughter give herself so fully to one man, especially one who looked like Pierre. They were both happy and cried over their long journey to make peace. A big lawsuit had been filed against Pierre Dumont in France by 20 people, including me. He also faced criminal charges for attacking me and trying to kill me. Helena knew a good lawyer in Paris who handled the criminal case for us. We didn't have to attend the trial. The lawyer said our twin situation would make things crazy in court. It took over a year for the case to be settled in France. Pierre was found guilty and had to pay 40 million euros, 2 million to each of the 20 people in the lawsuit. For the criminal charges, Pierre was found guilty of planning to attack me and planning to kill me. This was thanks to a witness who testified. Pierre was sentenced to 20 years in prison and had to pay me an extra 10 million euros and give me full ownership of the New Directions business, which he had bought just to fire me. Helena's lawyer did a great job. I was very happy with the result. The medical review board told me that I was clear and that no action would be taken against me or my professional license. Although I didn't need to work anymore, I still loved helping people, so I kept working. I became a beloved CEO of New Directions and treated everyone well. After Helena and I built our dream house, I built a second one next door and moved my parents into it, giving them the house free and clear. It was the best money I ever spent. Helena and I also paid for Anita and Darren's kids' college educations. Amber, Neil, and Rhonda gained 2 younger stepbrothers as we completed our family. Helena stayed true to her word and was always by my side. She never gave me a reason to doubt her loyalty. 5 years after rehab, Chelsea married a salesman from her office. She never missed a single visit with the kids. Helena and I didn't mind her being in their lives. Chelsea never spoke badly about me to the kids, and we were kind to each other. When the time came, I proudly walked Amber and Rhonda down the aisle at their weddings. As I grew older, I never forgot and remained thankful for that brave little 8-year-old girl in the wheelchair. Her selfless act changed my life instantly for the better. I shudder to think how different my life would have been if she hadn't had the courage to stand up for me. Hey audience, if you like this video and want to keep up with more thrilling stories, make sure to subscribe to Prince Cheating Tales and hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss out on our upcoming adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next wonderful story.